We fucking had a killer morning, right?
All right, we just had a fucking killer morning. This is part 2 of our introductions for the LA Summit. And so I'm just picking it up.
Let's go.
I know. Well, all right. Everyone make some noise. All right, there we go. That's the energy level we're at. Okay. So just as an addendum to what I was sharing yesterday, the things that has happened as a result of all these awakenings that I've had was now I realized that I'm an artist now, and I'm not going to be just some handyman guy like I was and just some, freelance guy that was just doing random shit. But I realized I learned all this stuff, and it's now helping me. All these things that I collected, all these skills that have been collected over many, many years are now all going to be redirected to making really sophisticated art in various forms, in different mediums. And I realized that I'm really good at creating things in pretty much every medium, photography, wood, metal, electronics, anything electrical. Dildos. Yeah, dildos, really cool dildos for sure. The women will definitely love those. I can be everywhere at once. Yeah, that's a really great thing. It'll be molded after my own cock. So I'll have all my dance moves too in there too. Yeah, the hand of God, the thumb of God, so the pinky of God. So yeah, and then so it's like it's cool. So I just wanted to share a little bit that I'm, I've entered this new phase where I was like, okay, now it's like I have this new artist name. It's like Visocial is like the new name that I came up with, which is for me, it's like I feel like this empty vessel that's now just receiving, just channeling stuff from some spirit place. But then I also wanted to reclaim my past that I had rejected. And so when I was younger, my nickname was Sasha. And then the people closest to me, they would shorten it to just Sosh. But there was some part of me that just kind of was like, no, I don't want to be associated with that anymore and all that stuff. But after everything's happened, it's like I'm going back and reclaiming the things that have been rejected, and that, you're going into your darkness and going into your shadows that you just it's like some parts of yourself that didn't accept before. And now I'm not only accepting it, I'm fully embracing it and actually coming back and taking that chunk and putting it back in. And that's where I came up with Visocial, which is vessel broken in half and then add a Sosh in there. Anyways.
How do you feel?
I feel amazing. Like I feel like I'm finally, what I feel? I would summarize it as I finally have a knowing that I'm on my purpose now. And I realized that my entire life has been trying to convince myself I'm on purpose, but deep down I knew I wasn't actually on my purpose. And I'm the first time feeling that I'm actually living on purpose now, and because of that, whenever anybody comes across and tries to skew me off or something, it's like you, Paul, just water off duck's back. You're like, whatever. When you're on purpose, nobody can take you off. That's what I discovered.
Yeah. That's awesome, dude.
Cool. All right.
Nice. Hey.
You always want to say, we can feel it. Yeah.
All right. Hey, I'm Mr. T. I come from the Midwest. I typically live 6 months of the year in the Midwest and 6 months in South America. I'm just thankful to have dual citizenship and be able to live in other countries. And I really wanted to attend a summit. I've been listening to Ronin for many years, and I've learned so much from him, and he's like Roninpedia. I see it. And I'm just so thankful for all that he's taught and the truth bombs that he's shared with everybody. And it's just an honor to be here with everybody, and just to see how people see 9 to 15 guys walking around LA has been interesting. It feels pretty powerful to be with a group of men, and I'm pretty free right now. By November, I should be in Colombia, and I have some operations in southern South America and Brazil. But to be honest, I'm pretty free, don't have too many problems. But I guess recently my father married a single mother from South America and brought her to the U.S. But I've been really close with my father. But now that I'm in my late 20s, I've gotten my own way away from home and still keeping close with my father, but just wishing him the best, marrying a single mother from South America, but with her child. So, but other than that, I've changed my life around to be pretty dang free, and it's just so awesome to be here with Ronin and the guys.
Okay. Next person come up and go there. Yeah. Go stand up there. See you.
All right. Let's see. So I go by Sky, and this is my 4th summit now, which it seems pretty crazy because my first one was only like a year ago, and I just have seen a lot of things change and evolve in my own life and in the lives of people in this group, which I think is something that's really cool to see, especially because there's some things that people think they can't, or maybe they're questioning. It's like, well, could I really be good at that? Is that a skill that you can learn or not? And I think we're discovering that, pretty much everything you can learn, even if you're like Alex was unable to dance at all, like really totally unable to in his own words. And then all of a sudden it's like the top level and like a rapid transformation. So for me, when I was younger, I definitely wasn't confident. I was like the youngest out of 4 siblings, and I had this older brother that was extremely confident that I would look up to, but I wasn't. And kind of like the teachings of, I guess, my parents weren't working for me, and I just kind of felt that, and I rebelled really hard. And I didn't realize what was happening at the time, but my oldest brother he would call me a rebel without a cause. And now I realize that I did have a cause. It was that I knew that everything that I'd learned was complete fucking bullshit. And I needed to scrap it, like literally from the ground up. And all of a sudden, everything was negotiable.
I'm just checking to make sure. Keep talking.
Yeah. So everything, it was like everything... there was no like standard or constant or whatever. It was like, I don't know anything. So I have to learn about women from ground zero. I have to learn about everything from ground zero. And that put me on this journey of just learning. And those were back in the days when the internet, wasn't quite so censored. So thankfully I was able to find certain books and, PDFs or just like people talking about things. And, eventually that led me to the Ronin Man channel. And anyway, now I'm just in this place where I'm very interested in learning as much as possible and just having that growth mindset, especially with respect to leadership, and with respect to understanding other people and myself, especially through an emotional lens. So taking, it's like if you are angry, if I'm feeling angry or I'm feeling whatever, like what does that mean? That is something that is happening that is giving me information. So if I dig in, I can say, okay, I was feeling X, or I thought this person was feeling whatever. How can I take some value away from that such that I can, be better, right? I think it's a fine line to... you have to finesse it where it's like you want to have this growth mindset where you're like, I can be better in every way, but at the same time you want to be confident and not like self-conscious, and sometimes it's hard to be one or the other, right? If people that are very confident sometimes are like, well, not necessarily needing to grow. And I think that's something from Paul I've learned is like, it's like you managed to do it pretty well where you're always willing to change and adapt and learn, and like lead better, have better ideas. And it's like, if there's something that you realize like, oh, I did this my whole life and now I learned it's not good, just throw it away instantaneously. Like this relationship was good and now it's not, just, all right, that's it. Like not wasting time, just like boom. But at the same time, being confident and being like, I don't need to have this insecurity and self-consciousness and whatever. So most of all, what I appreciate about this group is the fact that it's a place where leaders grow and where everybody wants everybody to be a leader. It's not like, well, this is the leader and we got to do this. This person is, that's like, no, everybody can and should be a leader, and everybody wants everybody to be leading themselves and others as they can. And I think that's just super rare Because usually it's not like that. You think corporate world, it's like, don't outshine the boss, don't like be a little sycophant. And it's just extremely rare to find that situation where everybody's like trying to push themselves and up and everybody around them, and just like this general positive leadership energy. So I'm just trying to absorb that, learn, and if anybody has any insights for me about how I can be better or anything like that, I am all ears, because I guess on a final note, I'm the type of person that I take things to the extreme. An example would be, I always loved candy as a little kid. Really loved it. Like sweet tooth, like it was like cocaine. And on Halloween, it was like the harder you worked, the more you got. So I was like, I'm leaving school with 2 pillowcases. I am filling them up. I am finding the houses that have the candy baskets, and we are raiding that. And I am not eating dinner, and like maybe at like 11 p.m. or midnight, I'm going to be home. And I am going to be going hard that whole time, even if I can barely carry the sacks of candy, right? And that's kind of what I'm doing in life right now. It's like whatever I'm good at, whatever advantage I have, I want to press it, and I want to take full advantage. And then where I'm weaker, I want to at least be competent. So that's where I'm at. Thank you.
Awesome.
Holy shit. All right, who's next, man?
Yeah.
All right, guys. I don't know. I don't have a name. I don't have a name to give, but I'll just say,
John.
yeah, John. Yeah.
John.
So I'd say the last 2 years of my life have been, just like my whole life's been upended, right? Between, I guess, finding this channel like a year and a half ago, and most recently a relationship I was in that was like super, super toxic, total narcissist, who, had, ironically, she was a lot older than me, but she had this complex about her father. So I kind of was like her father figure. And that fucked her up because she like hated her father. And so she hated me. And like I basically like didn't like the same things her father didn't like about her, So it really reinforced the damage. I don't know if it's her fault for picking me or what, but it really reinforced the damage that was done from a young age with her father. But being in that, and it was the kind of thing I knew that I would never be in it like long term. But I met her right before COVID, and then COVID happened, and then he couldn't meet anyone, and then her father left her this classic car, and I started restoring the classic car, and like there's all this scope creep. The project got way bigger than it was supposed to be, and my lease was up, and I wanted to finish the car because I didn't want to leave her with this car in pieces. And so I was staying with her when we were already kind of like broken up. So I was staying there for like 6 months, and it was just crazy. It was just toxic madness. Like she was drinking so much, I was drinking so much, like just from sunrise like to sunset, because just to deal with her, and it's like for a while it was like because like in college I partied a lot, and so I was drinking a lot, and then after this happened, well, there was some time in between, but then this happened, and I was thinking like, is this me? Like my grandfather was pretty bad alcoholic, so I'm like, why am I drinking and like doing drugs like all the time? And so one night, it kind of got unhinged, and I just left in the middle of the night without like saying anything, basically. Just like 90% of my stuff is still at her house. I left. I like bought a stupidly expensive plane ticket for like a few hours ahead of time because I was like, fuck it, like I gotta get out of here. This is crazy. And it was the best thing I ever did, right? So it was like independent. It was July 2nd instead of July 4th, but it was like Independence Day, right, for me. So like the anniversary just passed, the 1 year anniversary, and I just remember like landing in the plane on the way back, just thinking like, man, this is the best thing I ever done for myself. I should have done this so long ago, and I knew like earlier on that like it wasn't gonna work out. It wasn't like I was lying to myself, but I get why like girls who like get like, totally beat up by their boyfriends, they like go back to them because like that's the kind of, like I was the girl in the situation getting mentally just totally abused. And I get it. I get why like girls go, it's really just, yeah, it's weird. It's a weird thing, I guess. But, she just couldn't acknowledge anything about herself. And, it's like I was falling into the trap of, like just arguing with her. Like I was just becoming, and especially because I was drinking so much, I was becoming like a total hothead and like blowing up. And, I never hit her, but I definitely broke some furniture. And it was like, I was like, am I this guy? Like, but then I started to realize like, I never did this before. Like I didn't do this with other girlfriends. I have actually girlfriends who I'm like best friends with. So they're still like from 5 years ago, like I was never like this. And then when I got back to Philly last year, I was able to like stop drinking and doing drugs so easily. It was like, and then like after like a month of that, I realized, fuck, like it was her. Like I was just like trying to like get through my misery, like to like be with, like I would fucking hide in the bathroom and go on my phone because it was like the only time you have to yourself. Like it's like, how you talk about like someone walks near you, like how do you feel? Like when her name came up on my phone, even like when I was still here and her name came up, it was like this just cortisol would just get released. And it was like, I would just fucking like start shaking. Like it was just, because every time she called, it was like, even if I wasn't doing something wrong, which I wasn't most of the time, it was like, she was trying to catch me doing something wrong. It was crazy. And, so I don't know, that was really defining. And, I just kind of happened across Ronin's channel, and I'm very lucky that I did happen across it when I did. And it's funny because like, well, and things were like delayed with the car. I couldn't like work on this car because I was drinking and doing so many drugs. Like I didn't have I was eating like shit. I didn't have the concentration to like work on the car. So like ironically, it just like delayed everything, like it just pushed, it just made me there like in this trap longer because, and then, then I had to drink more to deal with it. And it was just like crazy. But when I found the channel, it was like, I was walking around the house. I remember like walking around the house, like, or like working on the car, listening like on my headphones, and I would just be smiling. Like she would be like, what the fuck are you smiling about? Like she would like get mad at it, and I just felt like there was like sort of this light at the end of the tunnel because it was like there's so much more, and you start to let like a relationship like this define you, and it makes you feel like it's you, and like the shame, like the constant like shame is leveraged, and it's like, yeah, so you feel like something's wrong with you, like girls, they feel like they deserve to get beat up basically, for whatever weird reason. And that's what I felt like. I felt like, well, maybe I am a shithead, and I don't, so leaving was the best thing I ever did. And this channel has been one of the best things for me, even just like wrapping my head around, like how girls, how guys who are like blowing up all the time, they're the emotional ones, and like they should just like there's no way to win. And like, because I was just living through this like constant argument, and there is no way to win. But like it's like you should realize it, but we just, I guess as guys, like we just want to we want to win. I don't know, we want to win the argument, and they just want to pick a fight about bullshit. It's like it's just talk it down to the stupidest shit, right? Like you didn't give me a fork, like what the fuck? Like, seriously. Yeah. So I don't know. So that's it. So it's been kind of, the last few years have really been kind of, I don't know. I feel like I finally feel like, how men's car insurance, goes down at 25. It's like the last threshold for men's car insurance. I feel like I'm like becoming an adult. Like I'm 26, and I feel like the last 2 years, it's like I felt like my frontal cortex like developing. It's like the knowledge I've learned in the last 2 years is like just so much more than everything before it combined. I mean, obviously, part of it was growing up. I was young. I wasn't even, it was just sort of the indoctrination. And I grew up in a household that was seemingly perfect. Like, all the people in my family are still married, including my parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles. Like, believe it or not, in this day and age, everybody's still married. So that's kind of like, obviously there's that pressure, like the Jewish thing. I mean, I'm Greek Orthodox, so there's a lot of pressure there to get. And my parents are pretty lax people. Like, if I went home and told my parents that I was gay tomorrow, they would be like, okay, as long as you're gonna adopt kids, like, or like have a whatever you call it, a surrogate. And it's like if I talking about not getting married or not having kids, like that's the big one for them. Like, they'll let a lot of things slide, and they really try to let me be myself, but not getting married and have kids is a big one. So there's going to be some big conversations in the next 10 years or something. I don't know how to deal with that, but that's why, I'm excited to hear about that talk. So, I mean, I know a lot of guys, come from like certain households that were like, super damaged, and they see the divorce. And for me, it was kind of the opposite. And it was like, no, don't get me wrong. My parents aren't like, all over each other like honeymooners, but they're just older and they probably hardly touch each other, but they're still together and they do get along very well. There's arguments, but like they get along pretty well. So for me, I kind of had to come to that conclusion from the opposite side. I still come to that conclusion. I guess just seeing, even though it wasn't my family, just seeing all the people around me, like friends who's just like everyone's family. It's like, it's really crazy. I guess I have one girlfriend who had a really, really scarred childhood, and that really opened my eyes to a lot of things, marriage and raising kids. And then I saw that like in, that was a different ex-girlfriend, but then I saw that in the most recent one, like the way the narcissistic tendencies play out and like what the kids are doing and what they're eating and how they look, and being upset that they gave up fucking whatever dance or something because it's the mom's dream and like she's projecting all her, desires on the kids. So yeah, I've definitely learned a lot from the past girlfriends, and I think I just need to open up my options. I think I'm at the point where I understand a lot of the concepts. I just need to sort of start implementing, and I, especially the last year, I really have kind of stayed tucked away, just like learning. Like sometimes I don't want to even like go out because I just want to like learn. Like I feel like I don't even deserve to go like out and do certain things because it's like I don't know enough about it. Like I need to just like, and I know I don't want to get to the point where it's like, I'm not actually doing anything and I'm just like learning, and then I'm like the expert on fucking pickup, but I've never like, done it really well. So, I don't know where that line gets drawn. But I definitely still feel like I'm in the learning stage. It's like, I just need to like acquire knowledge, and like, there's not enough time. Like, I need to sleep less or something. I don't know. Eat better so I can sleep less. I don't know. But, so that's basically where it's at. So but I will say, the last year, I've never been more grateful, especially being home, like with my family, who, I wasn't seeing a lot in the past when I was living here, and I probably won't be seeing in the future because I won't be staying in Philly. But I have really appreciated time with them and like appreciation for everything, man. Like really just like general, like fucking you go outside, the trees are fucking beautiful. Like that kind of like, yeah. And it's like, I feel like I'm not developed. I have so like far to go, but I like see myself there already. And like, I'm already appreciative of the things I do have. And I'm also appreciative of like the chances I have in the future, just the fucking internet, man. Like how great is that? Like we wouldn't, like this is awesome, like who the fuck gets this? Like no one no one gets this. I have one friend who is like on this level, and we can talk on this level, and so that was always good for me. But to have this many people, and like you said, like, man, it's really crazy just to see like so many like strong people in one place and not like arguing, not like I want to, like, no one's like trying to like take the lead, we're all just like, I don't know, doing our own things, but also like leading at the same time. And then sometimes you follow, and then, you learn, and then you learn by leading. And it's like you said, I don't know, you that said it, like, the best leaders forge other leaders, so.
All right.
Yeah.
I got three comments. Yeah, fucking awesome. 3 comments. One is, in this group, basically the best idea leads. It's like yesterday, hiking right there. It's close by. It's a great hike. It's challenging enough, right? It's close. It's not a lot of traffic. Because it was the best idea. So if you have the best idea, if you want to like lead, I don't think anybody really wants to lead here really so much, but sometimes it's fun. And the thing is like, come up with the best idea. This is all about the best idea. Like I was just thinking, where can we walk to where we can get something to eat? Some people have coffee. It's right there. That coffee shop won, right? But someone might have a better idea tomorrow. Whatever. Like the best idea. It's always the best idea. Like that's the thing. We're always forging, not for leaders, not for being better than or less than. It's just the best idea. That's it. What's the fucking best idea? You know what I mean? That's it. In our lives too, right? Best idea, right? That's one thing. Second thing is pickup is going to start today. So JB, are you cool? Helping him? Like,
we went out
but today at the beach. Give him some missions. Go talk to them. We're going to get you some missions today. We're going down to the beach. Tons of sluts everywhere. Saturday is perfect. He's going to be implementing some. No more theory. It's going to be practice. Just as we're walking along. Yeah. Getting some numbers, talking to some girls, making them laugh. It's all good. And then the third thing is he's still at risk to go back to her. So you are. Because it's so evil, the power of these people. It is so evil. You feel like you're out of it. Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. Right? That's kind of how it is. Right? Yeah. It's like, so the thing is like in the group chat, it'll always be up, right? You got to be willing to say, like, I'm fucking thinking about doing this, and then, like that's your telling on yourself area there, right? And so then, people here are like understanding and can help, right? But if you don't tell on yourself, like I was at the drinking situation, everyone's asking me to drink. If I would have just tried to do it myself, right? I'm sure I probably wouldn't have drank that night, but it was a lot of pressure. Who knows, definitely it wouldn't have been good for me, at the very least. And, going alone is not good for you. It's like, it's not building a muscle, right? So those are the 3 points. All right, who's next?
David.
All right. Here we go.
Don't press the buttons. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jason, for having us here. And God damn, this is going to be hard.
Start with the shoe story.
That's cool. The shoe story?
The shoe story is awesome.
Talk right in the mic. Put it right by your feet. Yeah. We're going to put it right up to your mouth like you're turning.
So anyways, there was this Russian woman. I used to learn Russian for some odd reason. I don't know why. I just started learning it. And so I met this Russian woman, and she was going to teach me stuff. Well, we ended up banging and all that shit. So, so she ended up marrying some guy. And then she was passing through town, and she called me up. And she's like, "Hey, I'm gonna be in town." This is after she got married. So she's like, "I'm gonna be in town. Do they want to hook up?" I'm like, "Sure." So we go to a restaurant. She goes, "So, do you want to get used tonight?" And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, sure." So we go out to the car, and so literally I banged her in my car behind a restaurant. This is after she's married. And then she goes, "Do you know why I did this?" I'm like, "No." She goes, because of your shoes. And that day, I had just put on a new pair of shoes. I didn't think anything of it. I just grabbed a new box. I just grabbed a new box and put on shoes. I didn't think anything of it. But she told me, because of your shoes. That's why I did this.
Go shoe shopping with this guy right here.
Smelly old shoes. Little box.
I didn't think anything of it. I just put on new shoes. But anyways, guys, so if I had done my intro last night, I would have just said any bullshit to get it over with. But I had a night to think about it. And I woke up today thinking, should I tell them why I really came?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure you guys have heard me talk about it, but going to Peru with the girl, she was my Nawalt, she was the one, and it was the best experience and the worst experience of my life. I mean, it was very hard, very insightful, very hard. I do not recommend ayahuasca. You got to be a crazy to want to do it already. So if you're crazy and you want to do it, that's cool, but it's very hard. So she, so the third night, during the third ceremony, I fell apart so bad. It is the worst night of my life. There was a guy from South Africa. He was one of the counselors, and he stayed with me the whole time. He saved my life because I was so fucked up that I literally thought about jumping in the Amazon River and drowning myself. I'm literally flopping on the ground in convulsions. I can barely breathe. My eyesight continues to just diminish. And I thought, my mother's going to get a phone call that her son died in Peru. It was, but my girl, she looked at me with absolute disgust. And I realized I am the weakest link. Guys, I'm the weakest.
You saw the truth, basically. That she didn't like you.
Not only that, but all the men at that retreat. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry to put you all through this.
They fucking break you down, chicks.
Yeah.
It's the truth. We act all tough, right? It's not just you. They break guys down.
But
we're putty in their hands.
But even the other men there, I mean, they could see I could not stop the convulsions. My body was flopping around, and I'm going to die in Peru. And then this girl, when you do ayahuasca, you can see everything. You can see people's intentions. You see I literally merged with the collective subconscious. I could literally feel everybody in the world. And so for me, that is very strong evidence that I personally think that there's some type of collective mind that we can all be a part of. So to me, that was strong evidence that is true. And I do think that's true. But all those people could see that I was the weakest link. I could not stop what was happening to me. It was terrible. And so that is a shame that I carry with me, to see that my girl and these guys in Peru, I couldn't stop it. And so being almost 55 now, I'm going through an existential crisis. And don't worry, guys, this is organic. This is a normal process for people. Everybody's going to come to a place where you're going to look back and say, what the fuck was all my life about? Why did I do everything I did? I'm there now. Why did I do all this shit I used to do? Why did I live for the things I lived for? I'm there now, and I do not trust any of my judgments anymore. I'm completely unsure about everything. But inevitably, I do think life is a good thing. And so I'm binging Ronin, and I thought, shit, I got to reach out to him, man. And so I contacted you, and you got back to me, and we talked, and you were like, can you come to LA? I'm like, yeah, but I'm going to tell you why I came. This is hard, guys. Sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Keep going.
I came because I wanted to. I remember thinking, why am I going to go? Why am I going to go to LA? I thought, I'm going to go because I'm going to prove to myself that even if I am the weakest link, it's still okay. I can do better. I can improve. You know, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm simply trying to improve because in Peru, I did not handle it well. There's nobody who has ever fallen apart worse than me.
No, it was me. Ask them.
Oh no, yeah.
And
Jeez.
I got lucky. I was in the same group. Like this guy supported me, you know. So next time you do like psychedelics, you should be with us. Cause my story was like 7 hours of like convulsions, like going crazy. Yeah. You know.
So
this guy supported me.
So you know.
Yeah.
So you know.
Supported me.
So you know. You know.
Yeah.
Well, I love you, man.
And you know what? He didn't see it as a weak link at all.
Yeah.
If anything, it was a sign that he was more in tune and sensitive to all of the frequencies of the universe. It's like, so I don't see it as a weak link. I almost see it as more of like you were more sensitive to all the deeper frequencies of things. And actually, so I don't know if anyone, maybe is your interpretation you're the weakest link, but maybe.
I 100% agree with what Alex just said. I was going to say the same thing. A lot of time, you might have a lot of empathic energy. Yeah. And, you know, like the fact that the woman you were with treated you like that is 100% reflective of her. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the fact that you had that reaction, nobody knows what can happen with ayahuasca. So you could have been feeling things that nobody else was feeling. You had the absolute, it could have been that you were stronger in some way. I completely agree with Alex that you were in no way the weakest link there. Yeah, that's what I think.
If anything, you were the more fine-tuned instrument there. Yeah. Like you picked up more. Other people are more dull and not as sensitive, so they're like, I'm tough and everything, but they also can't feel. Whereas like you can feel way more deeply, and then you responded more deeply, and so that's what. So I don't see you as a weak link at all.
But I think what you struggled with the most, perhaps, and if this resonates with you, great, is that in that moment, because you couldn't stop the convulsions, because you couldn't do anything about it, you felt powerless. Yeah. And then when you saw the girl you were with looking at you with that disgust, you felt shame and you felt like you weren't good enough.
I have been carrying that shame for 4 years. I've been carrying that shame for 4 years. And so that's why when I talked to Paul on the phone, I mean, guys, I have not experienced my heart just opening like that, and I knew like if I have to go. Oh, and there's one more thing that I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but that night in Peru, the very next day was I went to her, and I tried to initiate some type of connection between us, and she completely rejected me. And I'm thinking, why did I do that? Why did I go to this woman, and after she made it clear that she did not, want to have a connection with me, why did I go to her for that? And it's almost like I think it's possible that I've been thinking that I've never learned how to think like a man. I was looking for a woman's approval. And that's why I think that it's so important that I came here this weekend, because I'm hearing men talk, and it's seriously, guys, I want to say thank you to everybody.
I got something to add. Dude, the thing is here's the fucking truth, is that a lot of relationships, I don't know if most, all, or some, but it's more than people think, is that the women, you're just using their men. Marriage is just a convenient thing. Get money, he pays, she doesn't have to work as much. She can be an artist or whatever. He goes to work. And as soon as he retires and is around the house all the time, they get divorced. because she never liked him, just rode on his back his whole life. He's like dreaming of retirement, and she just fucking hates him. She doesn't even like him. That's most marriages, I think.
Yep.
I really use the word most.
Yep.
You know, most relationships, the woman not only doesn't love you, she doesn't even like you and basically hates you. So that's what guys are waking up about. And just saying, I'm not going to commit to this. Not because like I wouldn't commit to a good relationship, but like if the woman's going to fucking hate me, like what is the fucking point like of that? It's not helping her. You know what I mean? And it's not helping yourself. So guys are just saying they're unreliable. And like I look around you and they hate their husband. So like, it's like there's no way to argue. There's nothing a woman can say to change the wave of realization because it's real. Look around the world. It's fucking real. Every country. Guys are just like, no, fuck that. And other guys are like, oh, what's going to happen to society? Who fucking cares? You only have one fucking life. Who gives a fuck about society? You can fucking save yourself. Society, you know, whatever the fuck they're going to do, who gives a shit? And also you're underestimating, you know, evolution. Is that humans will come up with some solution to have children. But it's not it's like it's a fake fucking thing you're doing to stay in slavery. The truth is she doesn't like you. She hates you. The fuck out. There's nothing to save. You know, there's nothing to save. So you saw it, right? That's the only difference between you and other guys. Ayahuasca opened your eyes to see her, the reality of her. It really didn't have much to do with you or her. I hate to tell you, it was just the way women are. So, you know, you see that and you're like, you think it's all about you, but it's not. Like the other guys, if they were looking at their wife, they'd realize it's just like the same thing, you know? And so, I mean, I'm not saying like the dating time can be great. And like there is something you get from them and they get from you. But it's like marriage is just a scam. They're just living off your back. Yep. Don't do it. Don't marry. Fuck that. It's the enemy because that's what they become. Because it's the way they're built. It's the way women are built. You know, it's like if Connor gets super rich and he just starts giving you guys all a salary. It's weird, but you'll all hate Connor eventually. Yep. I've seen it a million times. It's because you're dependent. You're dependent on him suddenly, right? Yeah. And so you stop working because you're like, fuck, Connor's going to give me, you know, enough, you know?
And Connor's like, wait, why aren't you working?
Yeah.
You don't know pay me?
Yeah. It's a bad deal because of the whole system, you know? And so
It's corrupt.
that's why. I mean, if they had to perform and if they got nothing from divorce, like in Sweden, like divorce, there's no money exchange. You know, then it would definitely encourage women to think harder about it and to kind of find ways to, you know, like say, well, I do have some value from having this person around. So, you know, I'm going to keep them around. I'm going to do this. But but the way our system is set up, it's set up to crush them too. It's a bad system. It's a bad system. And you saw the reality. It was more about the system and the way it is today than her even. So you saw it. It was scary. But it's like my favorite book, like The Denial of Death by Ernest Becker. You know, you read that fucking book and you're like, it's one of these books, right? It's one of these books. I've read it many, many times because it's so heavy. I still don't understand it completely. And that's why I haven't done an episode on it. I don't feel like I grasp it enough, you know, but the one thing I do grasp is that he sees death and it sucks, right? And he accepts that.
I need to listen to it.
He doesn't have to believe he's going to live forever. No crutches. He doesn't have to get drunk. He doesn't have to he sees the reality that it's a tragedy. Like it's a terrible tragedy. Like if it doesn't eviscerate you, something's wrong. Like we're all going to die and it's terrible. It's such a lame thing in this life. In many ways. It's so retarded. We work so hard to get money and everything, and then we die and everybody forgets us. Like, it's so brutal. It's so brutal. But but I'm not saying that is only everything, but that is one of the main realities.
If you realize that.
He says it frees you, but I'll let you. You'll go. But I tell you, you read this book. I really don't think there's anything good. Like, it's evil. It's terrible. But it's accepting the terribleness, and the reality is what's great about it. It's just like, I am one of the people that can handle the reality. And you know it about yourself. Like, I'm willing to accept this. There's no sugarcoating. It fucking sucks.
Well,
and it's going to be painful too.
It is terrible.
You probably die alone. He didn't say that, but you're probably going to be painful. And you're always going to have better days behind you. Like, it is like this thing. It's just, you're just marching down. It's like, it's tough, man. It's very tough. But I think a real man can handle it. We can handle it. We can just say, I accept this terrible thing, And I go on. It takes, when you're reading the book, you're like, fuck, there's no hope. But then after you finish the book a couple times, you think, well, fuck. I don't know. I don't want to say what anyone's experience is going to be with death. But for me, I was just kind of like, that's what everything in society is about. It's about denying death.
Yeah.
Building a building. It's going to last.
Monument that will last.
A monument. Yeah, a religion. Belief in something after life. Having children. They're gonna live on like you're gonna. It's gonna be you. Building a big business. Becoming rich. Impressing people. Writing a book. It's all to deny death. It's all everything we do almost is to deny our ultimate death. And that book just boom, At least I think so. I'm sure maybe there's another better book, but that's the book that I get. So I just wanted to say, like, you saw a unfiltered darkness. And you were like,
yes, I did.
Yes, I did. And probably everybody there didn't like you because they don't want to see that darkness.
Oh.
They don't want to.
Own denial of death experience, and
it's terrifying. I mean, it's terrifying.
So they were freaked out by you.
Yeah, nobody likes to see it, and you're bringing it up. So you're a bad guy for
And guys, I mean, I truly felt as if the angel of death was. I felt as if a figure was hovering above me, and that was absolutely terrifying.
So weakest link is not the right descriptor for that. It's like death was present, and you were freaking them the fuck out.
But I did.
That's why you talked about the river. Yeah. It wasn't about her. It was you were facing death.
But I did make the decision. I am not going to die here. I did make that decision. I am not going to die here. No matter how guys, I'm not going to tell anybody not to do ayahuasca, but I'm telling you, I could not breathe. It was, and this was for hours, and I could not control my body, and my eyesight continued to go, and to me that was proof I'm going to die. My vision just kept fading away and fading. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to die. But I made a decision. I am not going to die. I am going to survive this. My mother is not going to receive that phone call. Thank you, guys.
Wow. Fuck. Dude, I talked about it in an episode, but the time when I was on the boat, do you guys know that boat episode where it was in the storm and the boat came up and I ran up and grabbed the front of the boat in a huge storm, South China Seas, and I went with the boat down into the waves, and it was so powerful. Like, as a surfer, I thought any wave, it wasn't that big a wave. It was like 25-foot wave, right? But it's totally different in the middle of the ocean. The power is just a million times. It's nothing like a wave on the beach. Right. It's slowed down from the bottom of the sea, and the power is gone. In the middle of the ocean, it's fucking incredible. And I had no idea about that. And I didn't know until it was too late. Because I went down there and I grabbed the front and it was slippery. There was nothing to grab onto. And it was impossible to live. Basically, it's impossible that I'm still here. Really, I'm serious. Totally impossible. Like, I don't want nobody would survive if they tried to do it. I don't know the odds. I don't even know what the odds are. It was unbelievable. Beyond, it was just like, all I said is, I'm going to live 100th of a second longer. That was, seriously,
I understand.
that's the only decision I made.
I know exactly
I said,
what you're
even
talking
100th of a second, it's a little bit more life.
I know exactly what you're
Yeah.
talking about. Because I was struggling from breath.
One fucking 100%.
From breath.
But it was that decision. It was that decision. I remember I used my pinkies. Like, I remember that helped at some level, the balance, because my body was like going up and down. My feet were going, and the only thing that saved me was that it was coming straight at me. The wave was direct. If it would have been even a little bit, then one hand would have slipped off. And then I would have hit the metal. It was a old Chinese boat. I would have hit like where the captain is. It's all metal. And then it was the middle of the night. And then I would have been swept like a river off the side. And then there was one light on the boat. It was as light. It was as bright as one bulb. And there's 25-foot waves, and they've got no safety things at all. So I probably would have been killed just hitting the metal thing so hard, and then swept over the side. I definitely would have been knocked out, 100%. So I would have died for sure. Yeah, and it was like I just said, this is it. I didn't think it would be this fast, but I'm going to live 100th of a second. I'm going to do it. That's it. I know exactly what you're talking about. Very intense. But I think that 100th of a second was kind of like me saying, I'm not going to die here, even though I had no control of it. But I know exactly what you're talking about.
I made the decision. I'm not going to die. My mother is not going to receive that phone call.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Kyle.
All right.
They're talking about South Park. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Shut up, Kyle.
This is my first summit. Really love the energy here. I'm really not used to having just guys be together in a group, and that just kind of has a life of its own, really. And a little background about me. I grew up I've talked to some of you already, but I grew up in the Philippines, moved to Vancouver, Canada when I was 16. Moved to California 5 years ago when I was 23. And that really set the tone for like my mindset, because that really changed my outlook on myself and how I view the world, because I felt essentially uprooted from a world to another world. And I was definitely depressed and sad and all that, but there was a lot of self-loathing and all that. And self-improvement was my ticket out, because I realized, and it was an obvious point, but I didn't know back then, that you can improve. Like, you can change your life circumstance. Like, you're not beholden to your place, where you're from, where you grew up, your socio-economic status, whatever. You could change your mindset. You can change it. And that was like a snap. And that kind of lifted me up. And it's been, a journey, 10 years ever since. But yeah, I think the biggest thing I have right now is I think I've done good for myself. I did the right things, house, job, whatever, car. And I have a girlfriend. And she wants to get married, but I know for myself that I don't want to do that. And I think a part of me just denies that fact that I don't want to. And it's more of a convenience thing. Like, I'll just keep going until something happens. But I feel like I'm just kind of almost delaying the inevitable. And also a part of me still has that like travel and experience outside my comfort zone. I haven't really traveled much of Europe. I haven't really traveled much of South America. And just really, experiencing the food, culture, women, of course. And I think that's a big insecurity with me. Like, oh, maybe I need to experience more girls and casually date around and really know myself, then settle down. Like, settling down at 28. Like, I think my growth, I mean, it's more external to me. I feel like she's more sure of herself, but for me, I still have that nagging itch inside of me that I still want to do more and experience. And even though I'm doing all the correct things, it's still like, why? Like, why am I doing all this for? Like, where's the fulfillment in this? Like, it looks good on paper, like all the shit I have and, you know, my resume, but I don't really care about it too much. I mean, that was a script that was given and I followed it and that was it. Like, what now? Just continue in this house, continue working, work up, get promoted, manager, blah, blah, blah. Like, that does not really suit me. So I think, especially with talking with a lot of you guys, you know, the hike and past days, that's really been like encouraging me, invigorating me to try different things. Because I can kind of see already now, if I kind of stay on the path that I'm doing right now, it's just going to be status quo, probably get married because I'm like, it's fine, it's good, then. But it's not, I don't want just good. I want the best. I want the best. Like, why would I settle for anything less than that? Especially since, like, death is such a, I've been journaling a lot about that because, you know, people have passed away. Everyone has loved ones pass away too. But yeah, that's like the ultimate reminder. Like, no one has time to waste for shit, especially anyone at all. But it's just, people are just wasting time. I'm wasting my time. And I realized, I'm like, I saw the opportunity, like Ronin's here. I'm like, why not? Like, I want to talk to people. I want to learn a lot from people who have like a breadth of, you know, we have hundreds, thousands of knowledge and experience from just our personal experience and all from the other people on the internet too. Like, it's all like gathered and we're bouncing off ideas, and I love that energy. Like, it was always hard for me to connect with people because I found that most things were just dumb. Like, you know, TV show this. Oh, did you see, you know, the newest TV show that? I'm like, yeah, it's cool, you know, but what about, you know, what are you doing with your life? And I used to think it was cringy, but passion. But I think that's kind of coming back to me. Like, when I was growing up, passion was that word. But then, like, oh no, that's for kids. That's a dream. That's a fantasy. But, you know, that's for, you know, other people. That's for other people. That's not for me. I gotta be responsible. I gotta be, you know, gotta be in the real world now. But no, that's a bullshit. They're just like, that's just a massive cope for me to not risk, not put myself out there, not feel that pain of a potential pain of risk and just rejection or whatever out there. And I realized that no, passion is, I want, or that purpose. I can feel that it means a lot, that purpose. I still don't know, but I know that's the way to go. Not just, oh, I'll take the safer route. Oh, this is fine. This is good enough. I don't want that. So I realized, like, yes, I want to take this chance. Like, I live not too far. BFE, Bumfuck Egypt by Ronin. But yeah, like, I realized, like, there's so much for me to experience, even though I feel like I've accomplished a lot. But there's still more. There's much more, like, I just don't know. And I don't want to live my life not knowing at least I tried and put it on my own. But yeah, like, that's one of the things, like, I just don't, with my girlfriend, I feel like I'm just delaying it. And, like, it's good, like, she checks off the boxes, but, like, I just know there's more. But also another side of me is almost like, am I just greedy? Am I just not, you know, oh, you should be happy with what you have. You should be grateful for all the things you have. A lot of kids in Africa are starving. Like, it's all like, a lot of, like, essentially excuses in my head real or not, or external or not, there's still excuses in my head to kind of push my own like drive and ambition down to kind of just like acquiesce and submit and just, you know, follow what the norms are. But I don't. That's definitely why I wanted to go, because I knew the guys who are going to be here know the norms. I think everyone in the world are cognizant of the norms, but not a lot are willing to challenge and actually go through it. And I knew that everyone here, everyone is willing to go through that and really willing to pursue whatever their wants are, their needs. And that's why freedom really never resonates with me. I know that's a very common concept with your videos, because freedom is, I didn't have that freedom when I moved. I felt stuck. I felt bound to my family because I can't move. I'm a kid. Oh, we have to do this because, you know, better opportunities. That's always what my mom told me. Like, sure, I got better opportunities, but at what cost? But freedom is really like the goal. I don't know. I still don't have a good idea what it is. Yeah.
I can add some ideas. Yeah. Dude, what you're saying there has got me thinking, like, when there was many times in my life where I was at that kind of place, you know, but one of them was when I got introduced to Tony Hsieh, you know, the guy who was the president of Zappos, right? It sold to Amazon. So he was like young. He just got the $1 billion. He was like on top of the world. He's getting in all the magazines. And I was going to his house and hanging out. And everybody that hung out there, well, his trailer park, he had like a trailer park in downtown Vegas. And like everybody that was there was out of the box. Nobody that hung out with him was normal. Like they were all doing all kinds of weird things. Like you could never put anybody in. It was confusing. I can't even like, it would take, I could go on for an hour. Like the people were so unusual. And you'd just be talking to them. And then the one guy'd say, you know, like you'd have an idea. And he'd be like, oh, my friend mills those fucking kind of machines in Malaysia. We can do those for you, you know. And then the guy'd be like, oh, let's go over there. Well, fuck, what about tomorrow? Let's go. And then they would just go and bring the designer and start making some new product. And it was just like, what? Like, and then like nobody worked. Nobody had a job. So it was like they were always available for stuff, you know, to do stuff, to go this and there. And it was just like, I mean, I've been around rich people. Like I've been around a lot of rich people, but these were different. They were like young, smart, and they just did whatever the fuck they wanted, like with total confidence, you know? And it was just like, whoa, it's so different than the old rich. You know, they would do stuff to impress you, or they would buy steaks and things. They were different. Like if they wanted to do something, they'd say, yeah, we need like, you know, we need at least 1,000 pounds of sand to make that ramp or whatever. And then just, can somebody, you know, then they call and get all the sand delivered, you know, to do the, whatever we're doing. Like, it was just like, it wasn't to impress anybody. It was just they were going to do this idea. They were just going to get it done. Just fucking get it done. And then, and I was just like, it was endlessly like that. Just endlessly. I go to parties. I would just be, you know, he had these like parties where everybody was kissing his ass in Vegas. So every restaurant would come and make free food. Like the best free food, the best chef would just be there and you just tell him what you want. And he was just like, and then they had his restaurant on top because he was hoping that some of Tony's buddies would start eating there, you know? Like he was like the talk of the town. He really was. Unfortunately, he got into drugs, and because I'm in NA, I wanted to help him, but it's like he was protected by people that wouldn't let me in. But, you know, to kind of, nobody wanted him to get sober. I think people killed him, you know. I think it'll never get prosecuted, but I you know, and I can't say for legal reasons, I don't want to say anymore. In fact, I even take back the other one. I don't want to get sued over this, but I felt as an NA guy that there was some evil things going on and people were being used, you know, and I felt like, hey, maybe I'm the only guy who can save him, you know, but I wasn't, I feel like I wasn't allowed to. you know. But I knew how to help him get sober. I knew, you know. But he just went down. Every time I went over, he'd be more lost, and it was very sad to watch, because when you're very successful, there's a lot of bloodsuckers who come around, you know, and so you deal with different dynamics. But being with him and being with other guys like him and his friends is really something that would be good for you, you know, because if they're entrepreneurs, I think what you're talking about is entrepreneurs. That's my feeling. You're talking about doing something bigger. You're not talking about going back and living in the Philippines on the beach, right? Yeah. You're talking about something bigger. You're ambitious, right? And you'd like to do something fucking big. Is that right?
Yeah, just big and mostly mostly wanting to do things because you want to and not because you have to do things.
Yeah.
I think that's a big core
But
message.
I think out of the box, because you're not talking about working and just clocking in. Yeah, it's not quite clear, but you're thinking something bigger, something more exciting, something more interesting, something more meaningful, right? That only happens at that level. Yeah, it's like the guys that can raise money like that, you know, and they can. Like one of the guys at the party, he had a venture capital company. When we needed venture capital, I called him up. He flew in on his 737 and offered to fund the project, right? It's like those kind of guys, things can happen and you can do those projects. You can do those things that are more meaningful and bigger, but you need to have the right pieces of the puzzle around you. So I'd say starting to find, open your mind, right? But these might not be the guys that can give you those pieces. There might be one guy here, but basically you're looking for a type of person that is already doing it. That kind of like, Silicon Valley, like there's a lot of those guys around Silicon Valley. In Los Angeles, there's like, Silicon Beach, right? There's guys, you know, I would definitely say you'd want to start to go to those events and start to get to know those guys and look for the cool guys. Because I worked my way into these groups because I saw what I wanted. You know, I was watching the internet and I saw the RSD guys and I'm like, I want to meet those guys. You know, I was like, I want to meet them. Not as a client, I just want to meet them. I don't want to be like, I'm not here to learn pickup. I just want to meet those guys. And I did. And I wanted to meet other guys. And I just kind of like, you got to know what you want. You know, if you're trying to get blood from a stone, some people, they're not there and they don't have that same kind of ambition, right? And that's great, but it's not the same, right? You have to find people with that same, to really get honest with yourself, to get in what is that you want. Like, because after brushing around those guys, I know that was not what I wanted, actually. I like those guys, and they're my friends. And they trust me because they know I don't want anything. Like, I'm the guy who hangs out with those guys and friends with them and knows everybody, but I don't want anything, and everybody knows. Like, I really don't want anything. There's nothing. If I have something I want, like if there's a plan, like I have one product I do want to do, I won't need them. But if there was something that I would need help, I would ask them, right? But I'm not here to get anything from people. So if you do go into those groups, I would highly recommend taking that mode of not really, you're not trying to get anything. You're interested in them. You see them as you see the uniqueness of them compared to all the drones and slaves. I'm serious. It will blow your mind, the difference in the thinking, you know. And of course you have to, you know, like Tony, he should have had somebody to protect him, some kind of control around the chaos. And also he let a lot of people in who weren't like him, you know, and those were the guys who destroyed him, and girls. A lot of them were girls. And but with those entrepreneur guys, it's very exciting to hang out with them. It's fucking amazing. No bullshit. If you have an idea, you gotta watch your fucking tongue, because they're totally serious guys. They're ready to spring into action. It's like a professional fighter. It's like you challenge him, he's just down. He's like, there's nothing to think about. He's just like, if you go and just start punch him in the face in the bar, he's not going to be like, hey, you know, should we talk this over? He's just immediately going to take a stance and he's going to do something, right? He's going to do it, right? That's how they are with businesses. They're just like ready to go. And so don't just blabber stop blabbering, because that's what people do. Like the average person uses blabber ideas, and they'll be like, "Yeah, you go, girl." You know, those guys are not like that. You know, you know. So you do have to learn to be a better man to even be around them, because they just won't want to be around you. Like there are very few of these guys, so you can't burn a lot of bridges. You know what I mean? So yeah, but yeah, if you have that mindset, those guys are there and they walk around LA. They don't give a shit, you know. They have so much fun. They just don't care. These are young guys at fucking $100 million, you know, in their early 20s. They're just having fun. But at the same time, they're serious business people. And that's what fucks with the old business people. Because you can't write them off. These kids are serious. They might even fucking take over your business. Like, they're dangerous. They're fucking dangerous. Especially in the internet age. You know, and everybody's like weird, you know. So it's definitely going to be internet. It's going to be something internet. You know, most of those guys, all internet. So that's the other thing to kind of in your mind.
Yeah, I think that's definitely...
That's not going to be factory guys.
Yeah, that's definitely what I'm thinking. For sure, something like a digital... I think I'm more leaning towards the digital nomad kind of lifestyle. Like, not crazy, like, you know, you're bouncing all over the place, but more just the freedom aspect of it. Like, being able to earn enough money to spend at a low cost of living city, then you know you get a feel of the culture. Then you move around, you get to see what is it like in South America, what's it like in Eastern Europe, or you know, London, whatever. Then you can so that's why a lot of people, right, or me too, I'm like bound by that. Okay, I have to set a schedule, but with that more digital nomad, like I'm ready to work, but I'm not lazy. I want to be able to just earn the income, you know, anywhere in the world through the internet, like you said.
Yeah. So that we did an episode in where he talked about having how to do the nomad thing, like, but at a whole nother level, like a great level. It's that episode is just gold. That episode should be sold for $500. I'm serious. Oh yeah, it's fucking worth it. That fucking episode is totally worth $500. Yeah. No, nobody shares those kind of things. He was very generous. I'm very grateful that he did that for us. And that's amazing. And so that would be the episode. For the other guys that were resonating with what I was talking about, is that exists. And I think there's somebody here maybe like that, you know. But anyway, if you are, you know, it is possible to totally change your life on that kind of entrepreneurial thing, you know. And it's very exciting. So whatever it is that you dream of, and you might do that and then find other things, you know, we're all going to go through phases, right? You know, I went through phases where I had different kinds of companies, manufacturing company, you know, retail, you know, headhunting, investment banking, all different, right? And each one I was like, this is it, this is the answer. And then I got there and I'm like, this sucks. I'm like, fuck this. Yeah, I'm like, I don't like this, you know. And I don't like the actual, what it is when you're there. I like the challenge of getting there. And then people were like, you're never satisfied. It's like, no, man, I'm just honest. And I have balls. So I'm going to leave. Do you understand? I will not stay where I don't want to be, because it sucks. If you want to do that, fucking waste your life, because the time the clock is ticking, right? Fuck that, you know? It's like, just turn your back, go somewhere else. Fuck it, you know? So go with that. Go with what it is at the moment. Okay. So,
yeah, that's mostly it. And I guess more of just like a side note that, yeah, I do love my girlfriend, but I still want, maybe that's more of a common thing that we're than I think. I still want to bang lots of chicks. Like I still want to talk to that hot girl over there. I still want to talk to, like, she's still hot. Right? It's not that she's less hot now that I have a girlfriend. Like, if anything, it's like even more attractive. Like, oh, I shouldn't be doing that, right? Like, but no, I have to, because, you know, I can't hurt her feelings and commitment. We spent sunk cost fallacy playing into it too. But yeah, it's a lot of internal. That's why I attach it to that, what I was saying earlier, the freedom. Like, am I really free now? Like, can I just walk away from my girlfriend? But there's costs now from leaving, because we spent time, memories, family, blah, blah, blah. But it's almost like I'm digging myself. Maybe not, that's a too harsh metaphor. I'm building something, but do I really want to build that thing? Like, is that something that I really want to build? And right now, like, maybe not yet. Especially I'm still, still young. And I don't want to, I just want to experience myself more and just let myself be open to different opportunities, experiences, challenges, day game, pick up, whatever, all that stuff.
Was she giving you an ultimatum, like a timeline?
I had an ex-girlfriend who gave me an ultimatum. And I realized, like, the same shit's just happening. I didn't fix that root issue. It just, different girl, different circumstances, but same root issue that I haven't dealt with myself. Like, it's nothing to do with the girl. It's me almost not being honest with myself. That, oh, yeah, I like this girl, but what about this other stuff? Like, I'm not willing to walk away and say, yeah, I want that. I'm sorry, but I want that.
Date both girls. Facts, Like, why limit yourself? Either this girl or that girl. Date both.
Just tell her I don't plan on getting married till at least 40. So if that doesn't work for you, then I guess
that's bad advice.
No,
this is
No.
gay.
Don't do that.
No,
Just date.
You're not actually but you just say that.
No.
But I'm saying free yourself,
Because
But then by the
they're
time you're
gonna
40, you'll be like,
if you say that.
you know what? Definitely not.
Try to delay as much as you can. Squeeze the juice as much as you can and enjoy life, But at the same time, give value to her. Make sure she's happy.
Right. No, for sure. I don't want to be just parasitic, because that's one thing I hate, like when people are just leeching other people. But yeah.
Just give her good sex. That's
Fuck boy.
sometimes.
This is more of a question for Ronin, man. So doesn't it eventually pretty much always come to this, though, once you're kind of in an exclusive relationship? I mean, eventually the girl is going to expect some sort of commitment, because I've been through this multiple times, and I brought it up in previous summits. So, like, how do you really deal with this? This is a good topic.
No, it's just a quick one. Just real quick. Basically, yeah, it always ends. And it always, yeah, of course, yeah. It starts, and then she says, oh, I'm cool. The cool chick, she'll do anything. And then as it gets longer, she starts to say, hey, can I leave my toothbrush at your house? And so, let me leave some clothes. And, and the next thing obviously, baby in the baby carriage, right? So basically, the thing is, it's the same as death. Okay, so death is coming for everybody, right? Maybe today, right? So we know that, but does that make us not want to have fun today? No. We still want to have a fucking great time today, right? As weird as it sounds, we want to have a fucking great time today. So that's how relationships, just have a great time with her, but just know that she'll start demanding more and then you'll leave, right? Or, whatever, it's going to end, right? So just know that, but just enjoy it. It's no big deal. It's like come and go, right? Fucking, be romantic, end in tragedy. All right.
Be romantic. Yeah.
You're done, right?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. Jason here, your host for the weekend. I just want to thank you all for coming and, being here. It's really awesome to see just men gathering. I want to thank Ronin for putting on the summit. It's really quite an experience to have everyone here. Just the relationships that are formed, the bonds, just people learning. It's incredible to see people's eyes light up and get that energy. Really, it's incredible. I don't know too much about Ronin's channel. I listened to a little bit of his content, but I think there's a lot of eye-opening truths coming, and everyone's learning, and I'm learning, and that's really incredible. I love that. I just love that, and I think this is what it's all about. It's about connection, and just you know, being truthful with each other, being vulnerable. We don't get that a lot in our daily lives. You know, a lot of us just go to work and do that shit and, you know, wondering like, what the fuck are we doing? And I think like this is where we really get the energy and we really get the insights to like how we can develop our own lives. Where am I at? Let's see. Yeah, I moved to LA like 5 months ago. I've been on a whole journey like this past 2 years ever since COVID kind of blew my life up a bit in a good way. I started to wake up, you know. It was like hit my late 30s, wasn't really feeling fulfilled or purposeful in my life. Yeah, I was married. She was a wonderful woman, but we were just fucking fire and gasoline, like poured on each other. Like, especially like when we drank, you know, we loved each other a lot, but like we just weren't really building a solid foundation, a solid marriage or solid relationship. I don't even know if it's possible. I look back at it now and I'm like, oh, it just had to happen. So I'm not living in regret over any of that. But it was definitely like a grow up moment. I guess I come, you know, I had a pretty good life growing up. My parents, I'm an only child. I definitely felt a lot of that aloneness, like growing up. Both parents are federal government workers, live pretty safe lives. I never really wanted that for myself. You know, they did the best they could, and I realized that, and I'm so grateful for them, but I want more in my life as well. And so I've always been on this like streak to find that. You know, I've traveled all over Asia. I lived in different places. Yeah, I've looked for that freedom as well, but I've kind of fell back into some of that corporate stuff and unconsciously, not even like realizing that it was happening. And yeah, I mean, culminated in me getting married, and kind of realizing that I was turning into my parents, which was not what I wanted, not what my ex-wife wanted. And I like intentionally probably sabotaged a lot of that, you know, by just kind of going crazy. I used a lot of drugs and alcohol, and then kind of life blew up and she left during COVID. I ended up renting a camper van, driving 5,000 miles and like just doing some crazy stuff, and found God out in the wilderness. And yeah, I've just been searching since then, and I feel like I've been on this spiritual path. And you know, December 2020, I took an eighth of mushrooms, and God told me to get sober, and that was kind of like just the path that I've been on so far. And like all last year I was in San Francisco and getting divorced and getting sober, you know, really dealing with my emotions without trying to escape it through, you know, avoidant drugs and things like that. And I was down here last July, and I was just walking down in Santa Monica, and then I just got this like intuitive voice saying like, you need to move to LA. And so I just was like, I know what I need to do. And so I put a plan together, and I moved to LA 5 months ago, and I'm just here. Like, I guess what I'm dealing with now is kind of like letting go, and like trying to stay out of the results, but being aggressive at the same time to go for what I want, like envisioning what I want, but kind of letting it happen for me. Because I moved down here and I was like, why am I not mayor yet? Or why am I not like, you know? So like, I'm really just trying to like envision those things in my mind and to keep them in my mind. And trust that they will happen. And just trying to take opportunities like this when Alex presented it to host, and just be of like the ultimate service in that way, and then kind of like letting those gifts like develop from there. So yeah, it's just good, and just to be here with you men and just have conversations and seeing where everyone's at. It's just like bringing ideas to my head too. And so yeah, any insights about how you men are dealing with like how you're keeping your vision in your mind, but not letting like the results like kind of get you down? I would love to hear about that, and just connecting with you overall. Yeah. Cool.
I'll say something
Yeah.
real quick. Yeah. And just real quick about that one. About keeping your vision and not worrying about the results. I think it's a balance. Like, I have like 6 YouTube channels, and one of them was really the one I thought was going to take off. It's the one that I wanted to take off, you know, and nobody liked it. It just didn't go anywhere. And I think the videos were awesome. Like, I filmed them in Shanghai, and they're just fucking, I think they're just gold. Killer backgrounds. It was a miracle setting up the camera with all those people, and just kind of like great. I forget the name of the water town. There's like a kind of a water town connected, kind of near the American school that way, you know, out in the middle of Bumfuck, right? And not on Pudong side, the Puxi side. And so I thought, oh, this is going to be the one. And then I had another channel, which is just under my name, and that channel had like insanely viral videos that I really didn't care about. It was just things that I was into at the time. I'd make a video, and then it would go crazy viral, like crazy viral. Not like this channel. Like, I mean, talking like fucking insane. And so I was like, but then I didn't want to do that. So in other words, the things that other people wanted me to do, I wasn't that interested in. But it's hard to find, you know, it's hard to get a good channel like that has views, right? And so I had these channels that just go insane, but I realized there was no juice there. Like, it would almost be like a job making a video for that channel, which is nothing wrong with a job. I'm not saying it's like slavery or anything, but it wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't the reason why I made YouTube videos, right? Because I wanted like something more meaningful. And so I'm like, even though that's might never happen again, this could be totally stupid, I'm going to keep looking for things. And then I made another channel that was successful. It was successful for money, and it was like making money, and I was enjoying it. I was really enjoying it. It was great. And it was fun. Not the hugest channel, but it was making really good money. And and I was meeting good people. So it was like good, you know. And then all of a sudden, after a certain period of time, I realized I really don't give a shit about it. Like, at the bottom line, it's not like I don't care at all. It wasn't fake. It was very real, but I got bored of it. It's a one-trick pony. I got bored of it. And then the other thing that really depressed me is I was teaching something that kind of can only be taught to someone with skills. And so people would buy it. They'd be happy. You know, they wouldn't want their money back. They'd be totally happy. But I was sad because they were never able to do what I was teaching. Even though they were totally happy. They were like, yeah, it was great. It was great meeting you. And I was thinking, yeah, but you're not doing it. And then I realized that a lot of them were not capable. And so what I was doing, I kind of thought, oh, I have whatever I can do, anybody can do. But it's not true. Whatever you can do, you can do. doesn't mean everybody can do, right? So that channel kind of died because I lost, because of that reason. So I'm like, God damn, how many fucking channels? And then I thought, okay, and then I was gonna do a pickup channel, pick up girls, and then I thought, so then I'm getting ready to do a pickup Asia video kind of thing, and I was like, that's gonna be my niche, and then I said, well, I'll meet the RST guys, and we'll hang out, and then I'll learn a lot, and I'll start my channel. But once I met them, the guys I met were very good to me. And I'm never going to rip off somebody who's good to me. Like, I'm not going to learn from them and start my own channel. Like, because I consider that ripping off. Like, my definition of ripping off is more harsh than most people, and I'm like, I can't do that. I told them, I said, I was planning on making a channel, but now that I met you guys, I'll support you, but I can't make a pickup channel. So like, okay, fuck. So now I'm like, this sucks, having values and being honest and trying to do what you want is really hard. Right? Yeah. It's really hard. Yeah. You got to give up a lot of shit. Right? So, and not to mention, I have people in my family who are insanely rich. I could just go and join with them. So it's like, that's always there too. I feel like an idiot for not, so all this stuff. Right. And then I thought, well, fuck, if I can't teach pickup, because I don't want to compete with my friends, I'm like, maybe I can teach something different about women. So I started looking on the internet, and then I found MGTOW videos, and I was like, these fucking guys don't know anything about women. I thought, wow. I thought I can help this niche, by bringing in some more experience into they were onto some ideas, but they just didn't really have any experience to know, right? And the subtleties, right? And so I was like, wow, I could my experience could really come in handy in this thing. That was my original idea. And it's not pickup for sure. So I can, so I'm like, okay. So I went in the park. I just hit record, and I recorded a video. And then I'm like, I guess that's the only ideas I have in this. I'm kind of done. So then I went back to the park, same place. I hit record again. Kind of made the same video twice. So if you listen to my first two videos, they're pretty similar. You might not think so, but I felt like they were. And then I'm like, I'm done. I don't have any more ideas. So then, So then my friend who motivated me, this guy from Israel, Devere, he was like, dude, you got so much to talk about. And he was like, and then this other friend of mine, before I started it. Yeah, all right. I'm giving you the roadmap to find your passion, basically, right now. So I was talking to my friend from Germany, Dimi. He visited me in Bangkok. And then he's like asking me questions in the park, like a Q&A. And he goes, and this guy's super cool guy. Like, he's like great at pickup. He's a boxer. He's fucking handsome. He does shoots MTV videos. He's funny. He's everything. He's a cool friend. He's kind of like the most balanced, cool guy you'll meet. Because cool guys are usually not that balanced. He's like super balanced. Smart, funny, insightful, thoughtful, sensitive, just boom, 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 right? So, and then he said, I would sit here and pay just to hear you all day. And coming from him, I'm like, no way. Like, you? And he's like, yeah, totally. And I was like, well, what if I recorded it in a YouTube video and I sent it to you? And he's like, oh, that'd be great. He goes, and I said, do you think other people would want to hear? And he goes, yeah, I bet a lot of people would want to hear. So I was like, okay, I'll record it. Right? Then I made the first one. And then I was hanging out with this guy. He was only 22, Devere, this other guy. And Dimi was young too. He was in his 20s. And then Devere was 22, and I was hanging out with him because we were trying to come up with a new business, and he was helping me with my other real estate channel. So I'm working on that. I'm working on this. And then when I was done with the first two videos, I was like, I'm done. I don't have any more ideas. And then he's like, well, maybe I can ask you some questions. And then I know you can answer them, So then we sat in the park, and then he started asking questions. And then he asked me what books I read. So predatory female, manipulative man. So I made those videos, right? And then it was just kind of like, he was kind of like you, kind of like SBC kind of personality. He was just keep asking me questions. And then he was like, yeah, I think people will like this. And I was like, I don't know, And so anyway, so I just kept making videos. And then finally, at the beginning of videos, I'm just in a room or just recording audio with like just a one screenshot or one picture and then no moving things. And then, but I would sit there with Devere all day walking around. And sometimes we'd record the videos walking around, the audio. And then he said, well, why don't you just walk around and just turn on the video and then just shoot Bangkok where we're walking. And I was like, I don't know, it sounds going to be very good, or, you know. And so in other words, like, as you find your passion, people bring it out of you, and then they give you ideas to make it better because they want you to do better so they can enjoy it. Yeah. And that's very enjoyable, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I had some like realizations that when you were talking, like you're putting yourself in the opportunity, like situations to create those opportunities of like new ideas and new businesses by just like going to different places and like meeting new people, and then you're in relationship with other people, and then you're just talking. And like, yeah, whoever. Yeah, you're just talking. You're not just like doing like the same thing every day of like, oh, this schedule of like things. So like you're putting yourself in the like situations to think of creative new businesses and ideas, and maybe some of them work, maybe some of them don't, but like you kind of are like open to just letting the creative things come in by putting yourself in new opportunities.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. You're more right than you think. Like, actually, before I went to Bangkok, I said, you know, I had done a bunch of things, and I said, I don't want to do any of those things, and I don't know what I want to do. So I'm basically going to strap myself to the mast. I'm going to go to Bangkok, and I'm going to rent the shittiest, smallest room with no window, which I did. And I'm just going to sit there with nothing to do. And I'm going to wait until I come up with a good idea. Because I read these books about the monks who went to the desert back, the Catholic monks, and they were living there, like digging caves in the ground. And they just like thought of ideas and wrote books. And like, I thought, I'm going to do that. And that's what I did. And so I said, I'm going to sit here until something comes up, however long it takes. I'm going to sit in Bangkok. Yeah. Well, that's when the idea came up. So, but it was dangerous. It's very dangerous. I gave myself 2 years. It's dangerous because it might not work, right? And you're wasting 2 years, right? But fuck it, you know, that's what I did. That's really what I did. I had no plan B.
Do you think more of your ideas work when you're like that, or when you're like in relation with other people?
I don't know, because it's scary to recommend it to somebody, because I know how risky it is. You're putting it, it's like there's no plan B. Because I had been ripped off. My company was stolen from me. So I'd gone from a wealthy guy to nothing. But I had some money left, enough to live in Bangkok for 2 years. And then I was just going to spend that money as I was there, thinking of things, until I came up. Because I realized that when I'm busy working, for myself, I can't come up with good ideas. It's like I'm just too busy, you know. I needed to like be alone, walk to the salad place, walk to the soup place.
You need to recharge.
Sit down, just be totally... No, not recharge. I needed to have death all around me, like nothing, like space. I wanted like deep space where there's nobody talking to me. There's nobody I know. There's noise, but it's nothing I care about. There's nobody calling me. Like, I didn't even give anybody my phone number. Like, I just like was there, and I figured I'll think of something. I'll come to something I want to do, right? You know,
I think what I'm hearing, what you're saying is that because all of the experience that you had, and then you had lost your business, so much destruction had just happened. The last thing you need to do is just jump onto the next thing. You had to finish processing what just happened, and you needed time to reflect.
No, you're reading into too much. You know, it was really simple.
But like reflect, but not allow. No. That's about. But I'm saying, but that is part of it. It was time to reflect and not have all new things. Like you said, you needed to go into the void. You needed to go into the void of nothingness and allow you to be purely with your own thoughts and your own, just reflect and listen to what's inside of you to come out.
It was, but like to talk in like real words. Like, I wanted to do a YouTube channel, so that was the thing. I like YouTube. I like the interaction that you get when you put an idea out there, and then people that resonate it, you know, connect with you. And then you have that connection. So I wanted that. So I wanted a YouTube channel. So it wasn't just like, I'm going to go open myself. I was like, no, I want to come up with a YouTube channel that's going to work, you know. and that will work for me and also for other people. So like I got to find something that I give a shit about every day. You know, you wake up in the morning, you still give a shit about it, right? And there's so few ideas like that. Because usually you kind of like you do something, you get all excited about it, and then you make a few videos, and then you're totally bored with it, or you realize there was nothing there. And I felt the same way about Ronin Man in the beginning, but it was the other people that, you know, they wanted more, and so they helped to pull it out of me, because I felt like there was nothing left. I really did. I mean, I felt like I did 2 videos that are exactly the same. You know, that's fuck. You know, it's already falling apart. I've already got that. You know, there's nothing left. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. So anyway, so yeah, pass it. So I after you're done, I think you're. Did you talk? No. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just think it's a good thing that we're all here, you know, to put ourselves in the situation for all of us to come up with new opportunities for ourselves. You know, get yourself out of the regular kind of day-to-day mind shift, put yourself in something new and see what comes out of it. So, I mean, that's partly why I opened up my home for this. I just thought, hey, why not, you know? Even though you fuckers are fucking up everything in the place. It's all good. I'm all right. It's fine. No, I love it, honestly. And like, I'm so happy that you're all here, and you know, if only my space can be a dwelling to spark like one new idea or one small change in your life or a big change in your life, like that brings me happiness, like to see the lights come on in everyone's eyes. Like, fuck, man, that's why I'm here. That's why you're here. And so, you know, thank you all for coming. Awesome.
I was going to say, Sean's going to get inspired to do heroin and be homeless.
That's right. The first thing about heroin you got to know is it's not just going to be one digital side.
Homeless and heroin.
All right, it's Ben here. I first off want to thank everyone, Ronin Man, everyone who's come here. Jason, of course, for opening your home.
Yeah.
It's for me to be here right now. It is a really big deal that I have the drive to be here and also stand in front of you, be on this recording device, and just be able to have some kind of grounding where I feel as though I've done something. And also to be able to be in front of a bunch of men as yourselves that have an eclectic group, and actually a lot of really, I would say, brilliant minds, very obscure thinking, but a lot of really awesome accomplishments. I've thrown myself in the fire, I believe, and been through a lot of heavy change. And it's just really great to be here in front of all of you. And I've expressed a lot to a lot of you before doing this kind of where I come from. But I grew up, my parents were great. They were divorced. They provided for myself and my siblings and my brother. But I will have to say, I think a lot of my masculine energy was suppressed because my mother was very overbearing. And rightfully so. She loves me, and you know, I am her life, which I'm very, very fortunate to have that. But always being told, you know, certain things that I wanted to do, like even play football, right, was a big no. To be able to play the sport that I loved doing eventually, which was baseball, that was always a struggle to get to too. And I was actually really good at it. But like she wanted me to wear a heart protector when I was playing baseball. Who the fuck wants that? Like that's, you know, for example, I'd like to share this. She Okay. My buddies knew that my mom was like that, and I always had that somewhat wild side to me, that crazy boy energy. Ronin talks about that and how you were as a child, and I just never felt like I was allowed to express it, and rightfully so. I could have probably killed myself, doing something really stupid, because I ended up doing something really stupid after I was allowed to get my license. But luckily I learned right then and there. A good joke I had was telling my buddies, hey, I just got my license, but my mom's still making me wear a helmet when I drive. Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, it just is like, just to kind of show like how I was, over the. Of course, I never wear a helmet or anything, but like, they would be like, "Wow, I believe it." And, but the thought of bringing bringing home a girl was terrifying to me. I wasn't really able to express that side of myself in front of her. It wasn't like I didn't have a girl a few times in high school to make out with or whatever, but just to have a relationship with one, to be fearless, and to even push the boundaries of trying to get one. Also, there was a lot of us in the house, so I didn't have my own room or anything, but I didn't really grow up pursuing that, the relationships that I wanted, that I knew, the girls I had crushes on, things like that. I just wouldn't go for it because I was terrified of, not only the rejection thing, but also the I can't show this side of myself in front of my family. But of course that didn't last forever. You move out on your own, and you start to become your own man, and that's what I did. I ended up, having a girlfriend and even, having, a few other girls or whatever, and doing that when I got out to college. But I think I'll say maybe somewhat of a trauma or suppression that I experienced, it does carry on for a very long time. And partially about Ronin's channel, or Ronin, how he speaks, he's unapologetic, he speaks his truth. I may not be the exact same way, but I sense that, and that's why I think I'm very attracted to watching the videos and just, pushing myself to be here in this house. This is a big step for me. The first night I was here, I'm not calling anyone a creep here. I think everyone's pretty level head and everything, but I didn't sleep. This is very out of my comfort zone. I'm always by myself. Not always, but for the most part, I'm by myself. And a lot of destructive thoughts. But I'll get to when I've really made changes, and I'm in a really great state right now, and I can say that with full confidence, and it's really great. But navigating life pretty much on your own. I told a bunch of you that I traveled 7.5 months of my life. I was gone, exploring the world. So it was great. It was a beautiful experience. But within that time too, this was 5-6 years ago or so. You're reflecting back on certain things, or you're just like, you're so alone and escaping reality and always trying to find connection. I resonate with your talk a lot, with everyone's and certain aspects of it, but being a pretty empathetic person, and trying to just find common ground with others, and you do to a certain degree, not trying to hurt people. That's another thing, and not being hurt. I was talking to you yesterday about feeling, and I think some people feel inside of themselves to certain different degrees, and I don't think it's a bad thing if you feel a lot, and I don't think it's a bad thing if you don't feel much. That's what this life is about, is the individuals and how our different experiences are and how we are internally, and that expression out. So after college, I didn't have a game plan. And I felt as though my life has been just a shotgun blast in so many different directions. But I've always known I have something really beautiful to offer the world. Like, it's not, when I say, I think it's important because I say feel. And I know now, but I can feel that, and I always have. Another part of me is I've suppressed my emotions and the pain that I feel with a ton of marijuana use. And I'm not currently using it at all, and I haven't for a little bit. And I've done countless times of saying, this is it. You're going to make those changes, and you're going to be that guy that's on that straight path. You're going to, alcohol's really not my issue. But you're going to have that clear mind, and you're going to accomplish those things, and then you just can't hold it together. And I think a lot of that is due to putting myself in not great living situations, not what great working situations, not being around the right people. Because at the end of the day, I do have to accept that this life is not just, it's not a solo experience. A lot of it is, but I want to. Here's an example. From a young age, I'd see people in the supermarket and think to myself, like them passing in the aisles, right? And they just seem so closed off to each other. And I'd think, like, why do they not say hi? Like, we're all human together. And that's I think that's a bit, I've had to tone that down, because that's just not realistic. And I've even learned to be a lot more like narrow and focused, because you don't want to just go shake hands with everybody. But I had that as a part of me. It's like, why are we not all friends? Why do we not? And to see how certain people have treated me, it wakes you up to a different side of life. But there's a lot of beauty outside of that when you can get through. I'm not saying I'm a victim, because you choose to be in certain situations. A few years ago, I was living in a city, and I was with a few roommates, all guys, and they were all a bit older than me. And just flat out dicks. And I always take into account, like, what am I doing? What don't I, and it's also, I guess I just don't have anything to offer to them. You're trying to have conversation and connection, and you're in a situation where they just seem to not want to, like, you're so alien to it. And that's fine, but it's just not the right situation for me. But I'll get to the big reason I guess I'm here today. It's my last living situation before I'm at today, where I'm at right now. So a couple of years ago, I decided to. There is a woman involved, but she was not a romantic partner to me. So let's just be straight there. She was no connection like that. It was her and her boyfriend and myself. And I saw a heinous side and a ruthless, relentless evil from this woman in a very manipulative, passive-aggressive way that really fucked me up. I had no rebuttal. I was so by myself, And these people were very close to me. And I don't want to take away from who they are as people, the accomplishments they have. They're very intelligent, very creative. We also had a lot of good times together. But I can't stop just trying to take the initiative and say, what am I doing? Because there are some times where you have to say, no, this person is fucked up. And they're trying to put you through something because they've probably been through something, or they were never put in their place. And I had no rebuttal other than to try to just isolate myself in my room. And one of the final straws was an experience I went through. It was about a year and a half ago, a little more than that. I did something very stupid. But I mind you, no one got hurt physically. Nothing happened in that regard. It was just stupid decisions that basically I was so down. I thought maybe a mushroom trip would help. And I ended up driving my car on a full-blown trip for a long journey. And it wasn't the trip itself, it was the confiding of that information with people a week later, at least. I didn't know how to process what I had done. And again, I'm so grateful nothing happened, and it was such a stupid thing to do. But I chose to keep that to myself for a little bit. And then I confided this information to these people. And it was as truthful as I am with you guys. I mean, I'm not going to get too specific, but it was that in a nutshell. And of course, I don't think I did anything wrong, as in like no one got hurt. I'm just saying I will never fucking do that again. And like, you're low in life, you're willing to do so many different things just short of, ending it to try to get out of that mental state. And maybe that's why I didn't plan on doing that, by the way. It just something about the day happened. But when I confided that information with them and telling them, man, I can't harp on this enough, but man, I was so dumb. I'm never doing that shit again. But I told them exactly what had happened. She wanted to use that information and just destroy me and tell close people that I was, an absolute, like, basically, because I got calls within a day or two from a person, and he's like, "What are you doing? You're on drugs?" And like, no, man, what is this? Not the case. This is a while ago. Like, why she created a narrative to some people that she knew I was, even was kind of my only source of income at the time. It wasn't much, but I wanted to keep a good relationship with them. But she knew what she was doing. And I don't know exactly why. I don't know that but what the aftermath of that put me into the biggest anxiety panic attacks I'd ever experienced. I can't stress enough, and I imagine some people here have had experiences like that, where I really found out what anxiety is, and the feeling in your chest and the uncontrol, the lack of control to make it stop. I felt so exposed to the world in a negative way, and I had no control over it. And lesson learned, for one, is don't do stupid things like that. And don't confide information with people that you already know probably don't have your best interest. Or keep it more vague. Because I do want to connect with people, but not everyone's on the same page. So I can always recall one of the biggest attacks I had was at my family house. I was sitting on a couch and I just was going through absolute hell with no end in sight. And I thought, man, you've tried to change yourself so many times. Like you've given up those things that you know, and you've tried the straight arrow thing, and it just, what the fuck, man? You don't know what else. Like, what do I have to do? And I still have to live with these people, you know? I'm on a lease, and I chose to really dig out of a deep hole, and I think I've done it the right way. Not that I think, I know I've done it the right way. So ever since then, I really set in motion the plan to just live on my own. I didn't give a fuck what it took. I just had to make it happen. I wasn't gonna be at someone else's mercy anymore, and for sure as fuck, I'm not gonna end it. So, it all started super small. I was not in good shape as well, and I'm a pretty athletic guy. I knew how much I had neglected myself. And I'm really happy I was walking with a few guys yesterday, and I showed you guys a picture of who I was in that time. It's a shirtless picture, and because I think your body is somewhat of your story as well, and it's a narrative to the world of how you view yourself, because they go hand in hand, your mind, body, your actions, everything. So I started so small, just taking small walks. And it wasn't like I was like morbidly obese and I could barely walk down steps or anything, but I had to get the energy going. And within those walks, I would do them mostly at night. I'd talk to God. If that's the right opinion, I don't know if it's changed, like my opinion about that has changed, but I'd ask certain things. Just please, at least allow me the opportunity to get out of here. But I think that opportunity also starts with your willpower. And so I ended up really pushing myself in really simple workouts, but they were so strenuous on myself in a good way. Their mind, and they were all burpee related, just simple shit that you don't need to go to the gym, plus gyms were closed for that stuff, you know. But I didn't stop, and I turned it into a habit, and within 5-6 months or so, I was in insanely good shape from these simple workouts, which I'd proved to myself you don't really need much to feel great. And I got my own place for the first time, which I've been living in for well over a year now. And that was kind of like a new chapter, like, okay, man, you're able to accomplish this. Everyone's accomplishments start from a different path. It may not seem like a big one to certain people because it's like, it's not like a giant business or something, but it's not about comparing. It's about knowing that you went through something and you dug yourself out, or you pulled yourself out. And you're not going back there. And you're not going to allow people to put you back there. And so I was living in this new place, and I was, the physical stuff had become my habit, almost like a positive drug. No, it is still. And I'm really proud of myself for concretizing that into my mind, that no matter what, you have to do this, because it makes you feel that you can do pretty much, or you can do anything. And when you're the lowest, at least you have that. And there's a lot of pain with it, but it's all positive at the end. And fast forward a few months into living. Into my new place, which was going pretty well. And I was really happy that I'm able to because it's, by far the most money I've ever spent on living somewhere, but I think I changed my mindset. And I just kind of had to say, fuck it. You're gonna put yourself in that position. You're gonna sign the lease, and you're gonna make it happen. And I've done that. But I've always had passions. Someone that can, whether it's sports related, we're mostly all sports related. I'm mostly like that. But I'm a big fan of fighting. Like a big fan of it. I always have been. I've always viewed it as a beautiful thing. Almost like a dance. But I'd never really done too much of it. And I'd always, thought that's not me. But I've done some pretty crazy things athletic, and I've taken pain before, and I know at least my ability to absorb pain or tolerance it's reasonable. It's good. It's really high. So out of nowhere, this is really strange. One day I woke up and I shaved my head I was getting really anxious about my haircut, and I just said, fuck it. You're thinking too much about this. You have to take it all off to prove it to yourself that you don't need it. So I went with a 0, like going pretty much baldo, and I'd done that before years ago, but I had to show to myself, like, you don't need to be so concerned with that. But I think it was about that weekend. I don't know what came about me, but I decided to step into the gym, a fighting gym. And I went in there and just was inquisitive because I didn't know how any of it worked. I'm so attracted to this, but I'm also attracted to the personalities, the people that get into it, that push themselves. Because I knew that was a big part of it, is just exuding your mind and your physical well-being to the most extreme. You were talking about having to feel extremes in life. And I knew that was something that I had to go for. So I feel as though my shaving of the head was some kind of representation of like a new beginning again. Or a new chapter, I should say. I'd already begun. I'd already done something great for myself. But I started training. Muay Thai. And I always known I'd like doing it. But I just never committed to doing it. Plus, it's, it's a pricey thing to do, and it's intimidating. You don't know anybody. No one's telling me to go do it. But I knew that I had to do it with no expectation other than pretty much learn how to fight and meet people fast forward a month or two into it, and I just made that decision that I'm going to compete. And mind you, I didn't tell anybody. No one in my family, no friends, nothing, knew that I was taking on this challenge in life. Because that's how I view it, is like, taking on the new challenge. And to me, this is a really hard one, especially when you're committing to a competition with this. So I set in motion a plan to get into my first match. And then I said to myself, I don't care how long it takes to get there, but I'm not going to tell anybody till I do at least one. And I ended up accomplishing that. Wasn't a good fight for me, but I still stepped up and I did it. And most important is that I didn't the next day I was back to running and training. The very next morning. And then the next day I was right back in the gym. Because it wasn't open on Sunday. Yeah. But I'd proven to myself that again, another low happens. But fuck it, man. You're just going to keep trying. And so, now I'm still training and, I'm going to compete again. And yeah, it's scary. It's a scary process, but so is signing the lease. So is trying to do the work that I do and, convincing people to buy things and whatnot. Having the bravado to take on different challenges. But I can really say that my mind and my body are in the best shape they've ever been in my life. And I can also say it was my doing to put myself there. And I feel as though I haven't even begun my life yet. It's not even scraping the prime. And I just want to be able to pull off the things I need to and I want to, and to give that energy and to everyone around me to help them. And also, receive the knowledge and advice around people that I need to be around. So I'm just also ecstatic to be at something like this. I'm around a bunch of men that I know have pushed themselves in different arenas, whether it's, getting out there and doing pickup, because I know that has somewhat of a negative light to a lot of people, but I view that as just so absurd, like the best social skills you can develop. Now, certain people can use it for harm, but that's on them. Other people can use it for, I think, yeah. Business-wise, I know people have done that. Traveling, entertaining people, being up on stage. I just wanted to surround myself with a cast of characters that want to feel the richness of life and extract it for all that you can, and refuse to say that it's done. Allow that, when it is, that's not your doing, that's just the natural process. Thank you.
All right, greetings, gentlemen. First summit. So YouTube had actually recommended Man's channel about a week ago, and I watched through probably 20, 30 videos since then. And the thing that resonated with me about his channel was just more of an intelligent take on things compared to channels that would superficially be in the same sphere. A lot of those were entertaining in their own way, but a lot of it was just complaints, And so, complaints only get you aware of a problem, and that's about it. So, and the other thing that resonated with me too was, his some similar life experiences, doing business overseas, living in Asia, a lot of travel, things like that. So, then I communicated back and forth with him a little bit about the summit, and, I was kind of, should I come, should I not? I kind of had the feeling I should. And then he said, this is the last one in the US for a while. So that kind of cinched it. And I was like, all right, can't hesitate anymore. I need to just get in the car and drive out. So, it was only about a quarter-day drive, really, to get out here. So, let's see, a bit of background. I guess what brought me here was, I guess, the theme of death and relationships, death of relationships, just sort of the cyclical nature of the things over time where, you have a relationship with someone, it builds up, it kind of hits a peak, natural decline, and then sort of fades away, whether that's a friend or family member or anything like that. And a few things, in the last several years that have sort of brought it home was death of a close family member. He was in an aviation accident. He was a pilot, and they had ended up crashing into the water and killed everyone on board. And then the death of the relationship immediately followed that, which was my long-term girlfriend at the time. That right after I get back from the wake, she tells me she doesn't love me anymore. And so that was like a kind of an interesting day. And then the next thing was a few years ago, sudden illness in the family for a parent. So the onset of the illness was sudden, but the extent of the illness was maybe a few years of them kind of suffering to their death. So, a lot of those things kind of put that clarity in your mind. I'm sort of in the second act of my adult life. If you sort of think of your adult life as a three act play structure, I'm kind of I'm somewhere in the second act. And life is short anyway, and you don't know how short it is. So, an audiobook I recently listened to that was actually really good is called Die with Zero. And Die with Zero. And it really made a lot of sense. The gist of the book is that do the things you want to do while you can. Don't die with any money in the bank. If you want to give it away to somebody, give it away to them when it's meaningful. You don't have to leave it in your will, because otherwise you effectively spent your time working for free. Right? We've talked a little bit about nobody wants to work for free. So if you spend all this time, you're slaving away doing some work you don't really like to do, and then you die early, all that time was wasted, right? You spent all that time trying to get those resources that came to naught. You weren't able to enjoy them. Being able to do the travel and stuff while your health holds up. I'm sure we've all heard the stories of people that they wait till retirement to do all this great traveling. Old folks going on the cruise is the classic example. But then they retire and their health declines, and now they can't go anywhere. They're stuck at home, or they're tied to a medicine or a machine or something to keep them alive, and they don't have that flexibility anymore. or the body's just too old. The body wears out. You can't do all the hiking you want. You can't do, you can't go swimming. You can't do the zip line. You can't do the skydive. You can't do all the things that you thought were going to be so cool when you were sitting there saving up the money to do it. So that's a big part of it, I think, because having a lot of past successes and accomplishments, but in the last several years, feeling like lost momentum, and then also with that loss of momentum, you just kind of get a loss of, you're sort of out of ideas. But it's a weird place to be in, because it's not where, you got to go do something, or, you can't eat, or, the light bill gets shut off or something. So if you don't have to do it, and you don't have any real great ideas of what to do next, you sort of get stuck in this limbo of not doing anything. And, I think momentum is really important in life, because once you lose it in a particular sphere, it can be hard to regain. When you're younger and you've got a lot more energy and a lot more passion, you've got all these things you want to do, things you want to experience. And then you get to the point where you've kind of been there, done that. You got the closet full of the T-shirts from all the places. And you think, well, all right, do I want to go back to Europe, or do I want to go back to this country, or see another country? Yeah, it'd be fun, but, all right, you've done it. But then that sort of winnows down your options. You start thinking, well, if I don't need to go, maybe I'll go next time. And then, a little bit of time passes, and then you think, well, maybe I'll go next summer, or I'll figure out a place that sounds exciting and do it next time. And I think that's with that loss of momentum, is that the next time, you think, is it going to roll around again? Where, it's really just sort of a matter of choice. You can get online, put in your credit card number, and get a ticket pretty much anywhere now. All the travel's more or less opened up. The last couple of years have been kind of a cluster. But
what are you planning next?
That's the thing. That's the crux of it. I don't have anything that sounds that exciting. International travel, again, probably is as close as I can get to codifying an idea of what to do.
It's scary, right?
Well, it's not as much, but it's like, I don't want to think that, am I past the peak? Was that it? Was that as good as it got? And now I'm just lame and boring and sitting home watching YouTube videos all day. Adventure, yeah. The adventure is missing. And it's almost in a way, it's a little bit of the paradox of choice, that where it's like, yeah, for a couple $1,000, you can buy a plane ticket anywhere, and where do you go?
It sounds like a malaise.
Yeah.
Sounds like nothing is exciting you.
Right.
Yeah, you don't see anything that you want to do. It's challenging.
Yeah, a lot of those challenges are, you tackle a lot of things in the past.
So, but say how you feel. I'd say, like, I'm in a malaise.
Yeah.
And I want to get the fuck out of it.
Right.
I don't know how.
Yeah, that's a pretty good.
Say that.
No, that is a malaise. Yeah. So I need to avoid Malaysia. Yeah.
I'm in Malaysia right now.
I'm in a state of Malaysia. Yeah. My Malaysia. Yeah.
Are you looking for ideas to get out of it, or are you looking for...
Well, yeah.
I feel like there are going to be no good ideas.
An idea that has enough of a hook that sort of motivates me to actually say, yeah, that sounds cool.
If you had a gun to your head, what would be that hook?
Yeah, that's the problem.
No, 1, 2, 3, gun to the head.
Gun to the head.
Where we going, motherfucker? Where we going? Tyler Durden shows up. Gun to your head. He says, right now, 3 seconds. What did you want to do when you grew up?
What did you want to do when you grew up?
You either tell me or you're dead right now.
Right. Yeah. I don't.
What's your guess?
I mean,
Somebody like
Eastern
you
Europe or
would
something maybe.
Eastern Europe.
What would you tell them?
Eastern Europe.
Ukraine, yeah. That might be too exciting right now, Ukraine, but Eastern Europe would be fun to do some travel through. I've lived through a lot of Western Europe, but I've really done little in Eastern Europe. So that would be something that would be interesting. Some of the South American countries would be interesting too. I've spent some time in Costa Rica, even though Central America. But
I heard the stands are good.
Yeah.
Like the stands.
Yeah, I watch a lot of those food travel shows.
Yeah, all the stands.
And they seem to do a lot of cool food stuff out there.
The chicks are sweet. That's
Yeah.
what I heard. No one goes there for the chicks.
Right.
But I heard the stands are good for chicks.
Okay. Yeah, and that is one interesting thing with like being in a different country, where you're the novelty. The pickup side of things is easier because now you're not just like some other dude at the bar. You're like, oh, you're some guy with a weird accent that looks different than everyone else that's local.
Dude, that's not it, man. The thing is, somebody's glasses. The main thing is they're not fat. And ugly. They're not fat and ugly. I mean, you're going to be motivated to fuck them. I mean, a lot of women, I wouldn't fuck them no matter what. I just don't want to. I have no interest. I'd rather go to Target, So go somewhere where you're motivated to do it,
Yeah, you want to stay away from Walmart. There's a lot of fatties there, but.
Are these mine? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's a big part of it is, I guess it's a good problem to have. It's not like I'm in any kind of dire strait where I can't do anything, but it's almost even worse because it's like I can, but I'm not. So, it's just kind of like I need to kick myself in the ass to figure out what to do and go for it again. I think it's that momentum thing. After
put it in the group box. You're gonna go to Eastern Europe, right? And he's gonna put it in the box where you're like,
you want to be in Serbia?
Or something better.
Serbia.
Throw something out there. Like I don't know. Like I get a sense from you that you're like at a level that you're like depressed. Like that's what I'm getting from you.
No.
At some level, maybe you're not fully aware of it, but that something comes across that the lack of motivation to like.
No, I mean in terms of like a lack of happiness. I mean that's the problem is I'm content to a certain level to not do it, which is why I haven't. But I want to in one way, but also, I'm fine staying home, working on the computer, reading a book, going to the brewery, drinking a beer.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm saying that's what you're coming across me as you're depressed. That sounds like someone who's depressed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Recently?
Not recently. More in my 20s. So.
It sounds like you got.
I think you need a refresh.
Right. Well, yeah, that's a part of it.
You
Right.
do anything, you have options,
right?
And you're comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like it's good, but you're just not fucking fully living.
Right.
You're surviving, not thriving.
Yeah, for sure.
No, you sound like Kyle in 20 years if he doesn't change.
Right, yeah.
That's what it's like.
I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
You shave your mustache and.
Kinda, yeah. Like it's good, but it's not fucking amazing.
Right. Well, yeah, and also, it's like in my 20s, I was out there, doing businesses, traveling all over, chasing girls, and it's like you get a lot of those things. I don't want to say out of your system because those things are still fun, of course, but you don't. I don't look back and think like I missed out on it. Like I don't think I totally missed the boat. I was on the boat for a while.
What event?
I don't know. It was just gradual slowing down. Family kind of draws you back in a little bit. And then, a little bit every day. And then one day you wake up and you think, wow, I haven't done anything all that exciting in a while. And just too, the shortness of life, people can work like crazy and then, they die the day before retirement or the day after retirement. and it's like, well, what the hell is the point of that? Unless you really love your job, but, so yeah, I think that's probably the big thing. The reason I came to the summit was, one, just to, do that counts as doing something, at least for a start, and two, for ideas, to talk to other people that maybe been in the same situation, and just kind of getting out of the comfort zone, I think, is another part of it too. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Means you're serious. I mean, you took a big step.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I just need to pick something, really.
I'm picturing the theme song to Top Gun, but instead of Highway to the Danger Zone, it's Highway to the Comfort Zone.
Right. Highway out of the comfort zone. Yeah.
It's like a really lazy singer, It's like
Highway to the...
Yeah.
Is that it? Is that everybody? SBC?
Yeah, I'm gonna wrap up.
Yeah.
Awesome job, thanks.
Yeah.
SBC Global.
Yeah, this is. Great job, guys. So this is SBC wrapping things up. I swear, Christmas must have come in July this year, because I never thought that we were going to get another Ronin Man conference. I thought you were going to leave us and head back to Asia after Austin. So thank you for putting this on. I appreciate it. If we get even another one out of you, that would be really stellar too. So, and then I just wanted to, before I get too much into it, give a shout out to you, and I think his name's Bank. That was some stellar stuff that you guys did in our conversation last night. The last 5 to 7 minutes, where Banks was talking about the trauma with his girlfriend, and I really connected with that. And I think that what you were talking about there could be applied to relationships with not just women you're dating or in a relationship with, but just women in your life, bosses, your mother or whatever. That was some deep stuff. So I definitely want to go back and listen to that. That was killer stuff.
I will go back and listen to it too, because I care about Bank. So I was just responding in the moment.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Okay, guys. So this is my fourth Ronin Man conference. I went to the 2 San Francisco ones, the Austin one, and now I'm here at this one. And I'd say that each one of these just gets better and better. And for the guys who are at their first one, I highly recommend you come to multiple of them, and not only come, but really, engage with the guys, get to know the guys one-on-one, and then go back and re-listen to the videos, because that's where you'll really start to grow. So with that being said, I try to be an introspective person, and there's always something that I have on my mind. So I think for this conference, there's kind of 2 things that are that have been playing out in my mind. So on my way up here, on my way down here from the Bay Area, before I met up with you guys, I had tried to reconnect with an old friend that I went to USC with. And we were really good buddies, and we used to go out, party a lot, have a good time. Really great guy. He used to get a lot of girls, etc. And right before I met up with him, he sent me a text, and for some reason he wasn't sending me his address. And then I asked him if we could meet at the coffee shop around the street from his place, and he didn't want to meet there. And he wanted to meet me kind of a mile or 2 away from his place, and I thought, what's going on here? Turns out that he recently moved in with his girlfriend, now fiance. He didn't even tell me he got engaged. And basically, long story short, she's kind of trying to isolate him. She doesn't want a lot of his, old friends being kind of a part of his life, especially his unmarried single friends. And so it kind of, so she's trying to do the predatory female isolation thing.
Welcome, yeah.
You're SBC, you're no longer welcome. You're not married, so.
She didn't recommend he comes here,
There you go. Yeah, I tried to invite, so I tried to invite him here, but definitely wasn't having that. But, I'm 37, and I started thinking, I've kind of been going through this a lot the last couple of years. And for you guys in your 20s, if you haven't faced this yet, in the next couple of years, you're going to deal with this with a lot of your friends. They're going to kind of start dropping off. So I think the first challenge I wanted to bring up was how you weather the storm of dealing with, long-term friends that you've had, because like you said in one of your very first videos, I think it was your 6th or 7th video, where you're saying, once you start to red pill yourself, like, what do you do with this information? Like, what do you do? Okay, now you have the information, you have the ability to improve your life, but then all of your friends and people you grew up with are still stuck in the matrix. So do you try to red pill them? Do you not bring it up to them? Kind of how do you handle that? Because I just had said a few words to him when we met up, 1.5 miles away from his house, and he's like hiding and pretending like he's not meeting up with me. And I kind of affair with you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's like sneaking out. And yeah, I kind of just briefly mentioned, I didn't try to like overly, sell him on the red pill or anything, but I just mentioned that, his chick was basically isolating him, and he got, all flustered and pissed off about it. And and after we left, we haven't talked since. And this has happened to me multiple times. So I think the first big challenge that I'm trying to overcome is, at 37, like, how do you deal with, long-term friends and, them still being stuck in blue pill world? Do you continue a friendship with them? Do you just outright cut them off? Do you try to slowly red pill them? So I'd say that's kind of like my first big challenge. So anybody who has like any tips on that, I'd love to hear them.
A couple things. I would say, like, don't cut them off. I mean, they can cut you off, but I don't recommend it. You don't have that many connections in life, right? There really aren't that many, so don't just be burning bridges like it's nothing, Pretty important not to. I have a lot of friends who are totally blue pilled big time. We don't talk about, certain issues, we just don't, we have different opinions. I'm fine with them being what they are, doing what they're doing, if they ask me, that's when it gets sticky, because then it's like, how much do I want to tell them? And also, too, a lot of times, as you guys know, you tell them something and they tell their girlfriend. Yep. And then you get iced out of the situation. Even though you're not, the thing is, you're not advocating anything wrong. It's just that you're advocating caution. And somebody who's pushing, like, I don't know if you guys have ever sold anything, but like, say you're selling to somebody, right? You're selling, and then they have a friend who's just kind of like in the way, kind of cock blocking the contract. Yes. It's like, you don't like that person, right? It's not that you hate them, but you're trying to get the deal signed, right? And then the other person's kind of saying, well, you can always wait till tomorrow, or like last time when you signed too quickly, and you're like, yeah, there's a pretty girl over there. Here, let's, and so that's what she's doing. So, if he tells her that you're cock blocking the contract, naturally she's going to ice you. So, you know what I mean? Because, so I don't know, what the answer is, but I wouldn't go cutting people out. No. But I am myself, and so for me, it's a little bit easier because a lot of people know about all the women I had. So they know I'm not conventional. And that enough, they don't know about red pill and everything, but they know that it's not normal, because they know, like, why didn't he marry those girls? There was a lot of good girls. Like, why? And, so they know there's something inside of me that's like, nope. And so that's enough to set off the alarm that he's not a societal drone. That's what they're just trying to check. Are you a drone that must be eliminated? Are you a virus who might affect my man, or society? They say we're bad. They're fucking evil. Like, if you don't agree with them, they will do anything to destroy you. So, whereas you don't want to destroy anything. You just want to be free and have fun and do your thing and not be tied into some miserable situation. That's too much for them. Some people. Some people are cool, but some people just totally want to destroy you. Kind of like Ben was talking about. It's like just evil, and they are, and they can really hurt you. So, when you don't, you have to decide, am I tough enough to be red-pilled? Because you will get some major hits, by certain people. And you never know who it's going to be. It's kind of random. It's hard to tell who's going to be the person who's going to cause the most pain because you were yourself. So I just basically be myself. If they're not asking, I don't talk about it, I usually don't tell my channel name to most of my friends, generally, because I know that there's going to be somebody in their group they're going to not understand, they're going to be show it to their wife or something. So, and again, I mean, there's a lot of women who listen to Ronin Man, so it's not like women don't like Ronin Man. A lot of women actually really like Ronin Man channel and listen to it. And there's a lot of lesbians who listen to Ronin Man too, who are really into Ronin Man actually. And we stayed at one in Austin, her house, for a couple of weeks, right? And, so there's like, it's not like women don't like Ronin. It's just like there's different kinds of, especially women that are the masculine type, they really like Ronin Man. I could see Ronin Man really catching on with those girls in the future.
Because you help them pick up other chicks.
I didn't help her. She did it when I was there, and I did it, and so it was kind of fun. Like she did, I did, so, it was fun. But a little bit of a, touche, kind of thing. And but it's easier for her. Okay, it's way easier. It's way easier. But there's no perfect thing, and relationships are funny things. I have a lot of friends you guys wouldn't kind of expect. Like they could be totally SJW, and it's like I don't, human experience is very broad and deep, and these things are a very small part. The media tries to make them into the major issues in life, but they're not. They're just small things, small differences of opinion, if you ask me. So that's the way I look at it. But now, if they attack me or something, then I won't want to be around them, I mean, obviously, but I mean, like when I do yoga, like when I go to yoga in like a class or whatever, like if they knew everything I thought and stuff, they probably wouldn't, it would be a shock, right, to some, because the people that do yoga tend to be a certain, but I love yoga and I love the way they're in touch with their bodies. They're really in touch with their bodies. People that do yoga, seriously, it's a very deep connection. It's a different connection than we have here, but it's very deep and I appreciate it, that kind of thing. And the same thing in Santa Cruz, I went to, I ate in health food stores. They have little tables that you can get. And we're talking like hardcore health food stores, like full on, Wingnut, California, spaceship, kind of places. And I love them, I love the food there. And there ain't one person who voted for Trump there kind of people, but I love those places. And I appreciate when I go to those, which I was telling Sean, like I said, look around here, look at the girls that are in this health food store. All of them were skinny and hot. And the older people, they stood upright. They had some musculature to them. And it was very, which is more important, your body or your mind? I'd say your body, because that's what's going to carry you on living, right? So you can have all the great thoughts you want, but if you let your body go, when you're as old as that guy at the health food store, you're going to be dead, right? But he's still there cruising around, smiling at the sun, Yeah. So, it's like, I appreciate them. So I think part of it is how you think about them. So if you just see them as one thing because they said something, and they might present themselves as one thing, but that doesn't mean they are. People can read your thoughts, basically, essentially, because your face gives it away and your aura gives it away. So if you don't like them, or her or him, and then you're wondering why things are always blowing up, just look at what you're thinking about them too. I'm not saying they're right, but what do you think about them? You can't make a friendship with somebody you don't like. Like, it sounds so simple, but it's true. A lot of people are trying to make friends with people they don't like, and they're saying, well, it should be able to work, but it's like, you're the one. They might be too, but you're the one. You don't like them. So you got to think about that. Like, for me, I see other aspects of them. I look for things that I connect on, things that are important. People at health food stores, people who do yoga, they got a lot going on. It's very important what they're doing. You look at them, I'm talking real yoga, right? Not some Instagram yoga, real, skin to bones yoga, and that's amazing, and same with lifting guys, we might totally disagree on a lot of things, but we really connect on that one thing. So, that's what I would do when you're sensing. Don't try to connect with them. You just connect with one part of them, or one thing they do. And then when you do that, like I have friends that are really, really extreme. I mean, when you talk to them, like the only conversation is pretty much BLM or LGBT. Like that would be like the standard conversation for them. Like really, and races. And like that's what they talk about. Like, but because we connected on something else, they don't really ask me too many questions because they kind of know it's going to go somewhere else. But they know I think that I'm a good person, and there's not that many. They could like connects, even though she knows I don't probably agree with most things, and she would go crazy if I forced the issue and told her what I thought about every issue. She would go insane. It was one of the girls at the house, and it was like we had a connection. I mean, we had our connection she'd come in the kitchen and it was okay, And another one, we had a connection because I lived in Asia, and I actually know Asia. Not like I went there and lived in, and so she's like, she's from Vietnam, and it's like there's not that many people that are thoughtful and know Asia, really know, and bicultural, and have respect, and understand, and are interested in more, So she's like, I guess he's okay on that. So you're kind of looking for things that they kind of say, I guess it's okay because of that one thing, in their minds, and then you can have connections because what happens is if you are too strict, everybody's going to piss you off, you're going to go through something with somebody at one of these summits. I mean, at some point you're going to have to deal with that, and if you start just cutting people, like, it's just like, you're going to cut everybody. You'll be a lonely person. Because no one's going to be perfect. No one's going to fit in exactly. So with the red pill thing, you got to be sensible, be yourself. They can always talk to you. There will be tragedy. People will attack you, and it will cause damage. But it never, it's like that old saying, like, are you in the middle of the problem, or the beginning, the middle, or the end of the problem, right? So by the time you feel all that pain, usually either towards the end or near the, past the middle, right? So it's going to end. That pain will end. So even if they do blow up a group of friends or whatever, you'll be very, and then you'll realize after, a week or two, you're somehow processing it, this new reality. That group of friends is gone. And then you find other things to do and stuff, right? So you will take some hits, and all good because, you're becoming a man who is himself. And that's what happens, Everyone's not going to like us, right? And so it's like accepting that, but keeping yourself, and then knowing the importance of connections. And then knowing how you think about them. That's very important. Because many, many red pill guys are like, they don't like, it's like, what do you think about them? Like, do you see anything good in them? Because if you don't, you're pushing them away, right? If you're pushing everybody away, don't complain about people not accepting you, right? Yeah, I'm totally serious. Like, that's what people do. Exactly. And then if you ever got them to be honest and say, well, there's like a fucking force field around that guy. How the fuck are you going to connect with him, All right.
Yeah. Also, if I may say, this may sound weird, and we can do a longer one about this later, but it's not your job to save them. And you can't really help somebody unless they want to and are ready to change. And you'll know when they come to you with like, man, like, what the fuck is going on? What do I do about this? And then there's the opportunity to give them some insight. But until that point, you're really kind of more coming from the place of like, why aren't you like me? Like, you should be like me. You should think like me and you'll be free. But until they're ready for that, you can't do shit. And that's a really tough, painful thing. I experienced this with my family, friends. There's nothing you can do about it. And then when they finally see what you're talking about, they'll be like, dude, you'll never guess what I finally realized. And it's like all the stuff you told them, it's like you never told them and they figured it out for themselves. But ironically, or in a weird way, that's when they really get it, is when they really come to that moment. So I just want to add that in there as well.
Oh, I have one little thing too, maybe.
They took ownership, yeah.
Yeah.
Specifically, like what you were saying, because you mentioned like that you kind of maybe, I'm not sure if I'm quoting you exactly, but like you kind of mentioned that you thought that this guy's fiance was isolating him or something, and to to that guy, well, for one, he's already in blue pill mode. So, and for two, he's kind of taking it probably as an accusation of some sorts,
weakness of his,
right?
Him down like
And
pussy.
so the likely thing, if you're like, okay, this guy is, how is this guy going to think? What he's probably going to do is he's probably going to go to that girl and then give her the opportunity to say, oh, that's not happening, right? So he's going to go to her and be like, honey, I was with a friend and he was like, he thinks that you're trying to isolate me. And then she's gonna be like, oh, I'm not doing that at all. And he's in believe the woman mode.
Yes.
So like, if he's saying that he's in believe the woman mode, you're just teeing him up if you do that. But to Fox's point, right? Like if you're in direct, like whatever, trying to change them or, you can't really do that. But what you could do is, and this actually works with talking to women and making things sexual without making them, without triggering red flag or alarm bells, is you can be like, oh yeah, like create some situation that's similar enough where he's going to connect to it. Oh yeah, I had this friend and he was a fucking awesome guy. Then he was with this woman and she just kind of like started keeping him away from some of his friends, and he and all of a sudden he was pretty isolated. He didn't realize it and really believe that it's this some friend you're talking about, but in his mind he will get it. But it's not, you didn't say anything, you didn't give any advice, you painted a little picture. Yeah, so that could help.
Killer comments. Yeah, all three of you, great comments. I guess I'll end that part of it. So then my last point. So every conference right before I come, I always try to reread the book, The Manipulated Man. I've read a lot of the red pill material, but by far, bar none, I think that that's really the best book in the manosphere. And I really feel like that book kind of started off, for me at least, the whole concept of the red pill. So I've read it over a dozen times, and this time as I was kind of going through it, I really started to connect the dots in terms of...
So everybody knows it's free online. TheManiplatedMan.pdf. Just search for that. It's all online.
Yeah, it's...
Read the whole thing today.
Hard copy no longer on Amazon, but you can get it in PDF. So as I was reading through it, I really started to see a lot of aspects in my mother being described in the book. And not only my mother, but my grandmas and a lot of female family members that I have. And, as I've watched a lot of red pill content on YouTube, it seems like this idea of like talking about your female family members, especially your mom and your grandmas, seems like it's almost like taboo. It's like I've heard Agent Smith, Ronin, Ben, a few people here talk a little bit about their moms and, difficulties that they've had with them. But it seems like there's this like almost block with like a lot of people in the red pill manosphere community where they think like, oh no, not my mom. She's not like that. Like they almost think she's it. Yeah. Like it's like she's like Ozzie and Harriet or something like that, or Leave It to Beaver. And all other women are like that, but not their mother. And I think this is just very open-ended, but I kind of want to, I'm still processing it myself as I figure out more of like who the women were in my family and, how they influence me, but more importantly, how they influence the guys that they're married to. So, how my mother has influenced my dad and my grandpas, and, the role they really played in, I feel like manipulating them and making their lives difficult, first of all. And then second of all, the role they played in influencing you, because I've kind of come to the conclusion that by and large, don't throw anything at me, but I don't really think that our mothers really want what's best for us. They want us to reflect positively on them, which is usually live close, suck up to them, give them grandkids. And it's like, so I don't think that they're necessarily in our corner, at least for men, maybe for their daughters more, but this is kind of something that I'm processing a lot, so it's open-ended. So yeah,
something interesting there.
Yeah,
in a way, and I'm not saying any of this is intentional, but in a way, you're like the 2.0 or the backup husband, if you get what I'm saying. Like in a way, when he's out and he's no longer able to take care of her or be there for her, or if he's too tired or whatever, you're the guy who can be there for her, you know? And like, just like her kids are generally, you know, they're there for her. And so in a way, they want you to be that to take care of them like that, right? You get what I'm saying? So they're like, that's why your family is always trying to keep you around, and your parents, especially your moms, always wants you to keep you close because you're like that support system. But that's also a big fucking task for you to have to do forever too. So just want to put that idea out there.
There's a term. It's called.
Sorry.
That term is called a son husband.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, when I started when I got Red Pill, which was 1991 and 2, that was the time. And the guys I was hanging out with were talking like you. They're like, if you can't look at your mother and sister, and, you know, they were really hardcore. And it never resonated with me that much because I have a good relationship with my mom, right? And, you know, I enjoy taking her out and doing stuff. And I know that there's things that she wants, but everybody wants something. Or everybody wants stuff. Like, they have preferences, right? I kind of like, I think it's okay. Like, it's not like, there's no Jesus or heaven of Red Pill. That you reach a level, you know, if you don't reach that level, you go to hell, you know. You know, you have to, like, you know, there's nothing like that, you know.
You get married, you go to hell.
You visit, you see the, you know, landscape. Yeah. No, but I think that, you know, if you had a good experience with your mom, I think that the relationship of a son and a mother is very, very different than a relationship. And this is actually one of the main things people criticize guys about. They'll say, well, they probably don't even get along with their moms. If you look at the comments of girls in MGTOW channels, they'll often say that. And I'm like, hey, I get along with my mom great. You know, and so, because the reason why is because the relationship I have with her is her son. You know, you love your kids, right? And so, normal, like, I'm not saying personality disorder people, but regular people, they really have a special love and protection for their kids, right? And so, you know, in the end of the day, the way somebody treats me, you know, that's the way I'm going to, you know, treat them. So they might be hated by society, but if they're good to me, you know, they could be a renegade or whatever. But if they're nice to me, I can get along with them fine. You know, I had a friend who was a major, you know, drug trafficker, you know, and he was a friend of mine. And he was doing things that definitely, you know, people wouldn't like, right? But I thought, he's now passed away, he's gone. But I thought he was very nice to me. We connected, you know. And it really had nothing to do with his career, you know, what our connection was as friends, right? So I think with your mom, like, there's no need to analyze, you know, I don't even think it's the place of children to really analyze their parents from that perspective. You know, they're kind of doing their thing. It's like whatever, as long as they're not hurting you, you know, like, I'm not there to analyze and, you know, whatever they did with their love life or whatever, you know. It's kind of like, I think as the son, you know, I have a relationship with her, right? And, you know, I'm not, subject to a lot of the things that happen in a modern relationship. You know, she doesn't do those things. It's nothing, it's a totally different relationship, right? So I think it's totally cool. I think there's a lot of guys actually in Red Pill that actually have very good relationships with their mothers, but they don't want to say. Because somehow they think it's like they're not supposed to or something, you know. It's not encouraged. Like, I should make a video. I like my mom, you know, something like that, you know, because it's fine. You know, it's like, and also some women will also discourage you from saying that because they'll be like, if you like your mother, it's like automatically mom is it. It's you just get piled on for caring about people. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy, you know. You're allowed to do whatever the fuck you want to do, right? And however you see the world. You know, I don't know if, you know, you were thinking, I got to do this, or this is like true blood or something, you know, or it's like how you feel because of your experiences. But for me, I kind of went through that struggle because the guys told me, you know, they're all the same, you know, they said a lot of stuff. I said in How I Red Pilled Myself video, I actually talked about this. And, but then I kind of realized I had nothing in common with these guys because they were like, they just were kind of like fucked up guys, you know, even though they had this issue down in many ways. They had the, you know, kind of the red pill, you know. So, and The Manipulated Man was our book. That's what we read. And The Predatory Female and nice guys don't get laid, right? We just read those over and over. And those are the guys who gave me the book, right? So I do appreciate them, for certain aspects of camaraderie we had. But don't if you have a good relationship with your mother, like, don't even think about, tarnishing that for any other reason. Just appreciate and tell everybody to fuck off, and they can fuck off, because it's like normal human feelings are totally valid, right? And your relationship with somebody really has nothing to do with other things. So as long as they treated you good. Now, I would say anybody who had like a mother who was abusive or something, that's the really difficult people, because it's like, fuck, it's so difficult when you don't have that relationship and then you feel like a traitor for seeing the truth. It's very, very difficult for those guys. I'm not in that position, but I know it is very, very difficult, because you feel ungrateful and people will hate you. It's like, but they're trying to do is overcome the trauma of abuse. You know what I mean? Like, by a certain person, right? Yeah. So wherever you're at, or your mother, or whatever, my mother was always supporting me, so what, you know what I mean? Like, basically I could do what I wanted. I used to take girls. Somebody said they wouldn't, you said you wouldn't take girls home. I would always take girls home and fuck them in my parents' house when I was growing up. And they would scream and wake everybody up. Yeah. My brother never did, my sister, but I just thought it was natural. I thought after the 60s in California, people were having sex all over the place. I never thought it was a big deal. I was just like, it's like no big deal. Like, whatever, And so I never thought it was a big deal. But and my family kind of got used to me doing that. And they're like, my mom would always make 2 breakfasts. There'd always be 2 breakfasts. And then she'd always be gone in the morning, so she wouldn't be there. It's like there's like 2 plates.
Good mom.
Yeah, and then she'd be somewhere, And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. So, yeah, it's wherever you're coming from is fine, But if you're coming from like that perspective, I've never heard anybody say what I just said, in the red pill community. But it's fucking important, right? It's fucking important, right?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I just want to say real quick, you got to remember everyone here and in life in general has different experiences. So if it's something that you've experienced personally that you want to talk about, that's totally awesome, and that you want to deal with that, and that's different. But just to keep in mind, and that if you do want to talk about that kind of shit, I can definitely talk to you about that as well, because I've experienced some wild shit in my family, especially from my mom. But, oftentimes when we go through something, we want to find other people who've gone through it. We want to connect with them, or we almost want to validate our feelings or experience about that. And that can be tough, because my experience can be totally different than Sky's and et cetera. And Ronin, we have totally different moms. Obviously, I already know that from just what you just said. And that's okay. So, it's not like getting everyone else to agree with you or say, yeah, that's the way it is. But recognize we all have different experiences, and we come together and we help each other through them. So I just want to say that.
It's about finding engendered souls, people that are have similar experiences.
Yeah.
Right. So, you find you just honest. That's why we honestly share, because you have to honestly share. Otherwise, nobody's going to know. Like, you guys didn't know that about my mom, probably. Yeah, but if anybody who knows me, you probably saw it, and you're like, oh, I didn't know that, but you know what I mean? So, but that's why you share honestly. Don't talk in generalities, and talk about your situation, really. And then you give the ingredients for somebody with a similar experience to come over and say, hey, you know what? I had a similar experience with that, And so I have the same thing with another family, you know what I mean? Member. So, you know what I mean? So it's like that's why honesty is so important. It's honesty, and not the royal we. The royal we sucks ass, Yeah, the royal we. Look up the royal we. It's just people talk like us, man, and we this, and we have. It's like, no, man. Weasel, talk about yourself.
What did you go?
Where the fuck are you at? Because anybody who does the royal we, it's a red flag. The too much royal we when they're speaking, they're not telling the truth. Where are they at? We heard so much good honesty today, and that's what what you can connect on, what you can't, right? Like the evil that you brushed up against with your roommate. I never saw such a strong reaction from a roommate, but I did brush up against true evil. So I know exactly what you're talking about. And the effect it has on you is so confusing, right? It diffuses all will to live, which is designed to do. It's designed to destroy you. So, but I didn't know it could come from a roommate till I saw you talk. So, just share.
Anybody else? I'll just leave it at that. Let's have a great day at the beach. Killer stuff.